Business Moments is the brainchild of the late Echo Blankson, who passed away on October 3, 2022. He recorded 2 episodes before his demise. He hosted the show with his usual fun, style, and finesse. GhanaWeb TV is releasing these episodes in his memory. In this episode of Business Moments, Echo Blankson interviewed Kafui Dogbatse. Kafui Dogbatse, whose love for traveling and adventure inspired him to start a travel and tour company.
Hello, hey, Mr. Blankson.
Great.
Welcome.
Here.
Welcome to my office.
Your office.
Shall we go upstairs?
This is beautiful. Happy to see you. All right, cheers. Yes. Your office is upstairs?
Yeah.
Great. Oh, okay. Wonderful place you have here.
Beautiful. All right, welcome to my office.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Please have a seat.
Yes. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Welcome. Finally, I have you in my office.
Yes.
A privilege.
Such a place you have. Very small, but effective.
Yeah, this is where the magic happens. This is where the magic.
Yes, it doesn't have to be a big place, right?
Yeah.
With a huge staff.
Nah. All you need is your desk, your laptop, your phone. Everything's on point.
Awesome. So we're definitely going to learn a lot from you today.
Looking forward.
All right. I'd like to welcome you all to Business Moments on GhanaWeb TV. My name is Echo Blankson. On this platform, actually, we talk to business people, CEOs for that matter, and they tell us all about their business and how they're getting into the business and how it's going until the end, and what impact they are making on society. We've been talking to lots of CEOs, and they have taught us a lot. You take your pen and your paper and jot down a few points, because this will definitely help you. Because who are we talking about? A wonderful guy, somebody I have known for some time now, from our days, school days. So I can say quite a lot of easy things to him. His name is Kafui Dogbatse. He's come from different places, and he will tell us about it. But we are talking travel and tour today on GhanaWeb TV. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Business Moments on GhanaWeb TV, and we're here with Kafui Dogbatse, right here in his office. I'll call it a petite office. Why did you choose to have a petite office? Tell us.
Okay, so when I was looking for office space to move into, for a long time I used to work from home, actually.
So, used to work from home. I like that. Yeah. I always hear that from business people. Working from home, starting from home, starting from my bedroom.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Continue.
Actually, working from home and working from my car, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was looking for an office space. I needed to have a certain address, because it was important because of the line of business I wanted to go into. I was looking for a certain kind of address. Then I was looking around, looking for the spaces. But then I realized that rents in Ghana are very, very expensive.
Okay.
Trying to get a decent accommodation, paying 2 years rent advance, and now trying to fix the place and make it look the part. It was basically my whole capital going into that.
Great.
So then I started looking for alternatives on the internet, and luckily I found this space which had everything I needed, had a perfect address. And for a startup, all I needed was a location so that people can come to.
Okay.
So then this place...
Well, maybe we can clarify that a business location.
A business location.
Because where you are right now, you are in the airport city, where it is good and definite for business.
Yes. For the clientele that I'm looking at appealing to, it was important that I give them confidence.
Beautiful.
Now, when I started off, as I was from home, but then mainly most of my activity was online, on social media and various platforms,
Right.
the new media. And one thing I learned was that confidence in new media was a bit down in Ghana because a lot of people have been scammed online. So people reach out to you, but they want to see the person. They want to say, okay, where can I find you? Where can I find you? So then that was when I knew that I needed to find a location.
And obviously they can't come and find you in your bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. I could not direct them to my house, yes, or my car. So yes, before you set up meetings at various locations,
Very well.
but then still people a bit skeptical that, okay, why are you meeting me here?
Yeah.
Why am I not coming to your office? So after doing my research, found that this place was
beautiful. We'll talk more about this office location and the reason why we should have an office and all of that. But of course, let's get to know you. Who is Kafui? Where have you come from to get into a startup like this and call yourself the CEO? Look, I'm not a prophet, but I can prophesy that you're going to become one of the big CEOs.
Oh, praise the Lord.
Okay, so where have you come from, and what is the story into becoming the CEO of Aspire Destinations?
Actually, it's a very crazy story. Where I've come from in terms of where I started in career and how come I'm in this space. So obviously I went to the best school in the world.
Yes.
Obviously.
You must be at Disadel College.
Naturally.
Thank you.
Naturally. So I went to Disadel. Now in Disadel, then I wanted to become an accountant.
Okay.
So I did accounting at Disadel. From Disadel, went to IPS and did accounting as CA Ghana. So I did that, and somewhere along the line, whilst I was there, I told myself that ultimately I would like to go into academia.
Right.
So then I said, okay, fine. How do I do this? I said, okay, I might as well just go have a degree in education. So right from IPS, 3 years in IPS, I went straight to UCC. So I did 6 years back-to-back tertiary education. So then I went to UCC to take a degree in education. So then I left and I came into my main profession then was an accountant. So I started work at Stratcom as finance and admin manager. I was there for a bit. Then I left Stratcom, went to another company called Sefcom as finance and admin. Then I started.
These are advertising?
Yes. So yes, anyway, Stratcom was more of a communications company, so they did everything within that space. Then Sefcom was, now I had gone into an IT. They were into satellites and broadband related stuff then. So then I doubled into sales a bit, though I was finance and admin. Yeah. I was supporting the sales function too as well. But then truth be told, I woke up one day and I told myself that I don't think I'll be the best accountant Ghana ever created. And so there was no point staying in that space because I wasn't getting fulfilled in that space.
Beautiful.
Take
a halt. Now, because our audience are really taking notes, so you thought you could do accounting, but later on realized that you weren't getting fulfilled. So it's not your talent.
It wasn't my space.
It wasn't you.
It wasn't my space.
You were not finding it easy. It wasn't. Okay, so take note.
Yeah.
Continue, please.
I wasn't the type who would come and sit in the office, look at a computer the whole day. It wasn't my thing.
Okay.
So that's why I kind of got excited about doing the sales bit. So then it got me the opportunity to kind of step out there. So, but then when I realized that it wasn't going to work, actually, truth be told, I woke up one day, I didn't feel like going to work, and I didn't go to work. The following day, so happened. Then the third day, I did an email to my boss that, Charlie boss, I'm done. He couldn't understand. But truth be told, as at that time, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no prospect. I just knew I didn't want to go to that job. I didn't want to be in accounting space again. So then I left.
Awesome.
That was in 2007, thereabouts. Yeah. So for 6 months, I was playing with myself as to what to do. I thought about going to real estate.
Did you have any money, in the bank that was taking care of you, or you just cut your lifestyle?
I didn't have any money in the bank.
Okay.
I didn't have any money in the bank. I just kind of managed myself.
Okay.
I just managed myself. Luckily then, I didn't have that many children. I think my wife was just about to deliver first.
Oh.
So then I could afford to have taken that risk at that point in time.
Great.
So we did that. So for 6 months, I was trying to figure out. Until then, I met a friend who came up with this. We are looking at setting up an events company in our company, with the events department. I think you can do it. I'm like, okay.
That was an angel, I guess. Business angel.
Yeah. Actually, it's one of my oldest friends. Actually,
okay.
One of my oldest friends from Adisado.
Yes.
So then he invited me. I went to see his boss. We sat down, and then within an hour or two, I was offered a job as an events and communications manager for City FM.
Oh, great.
Back then. So then that brought me to the space of events and communications. Okay. Long story short, by the time I was leaving City, I was sales manager.
Beautiful.
I left City 2010.
And you were getting fulfilled in that way.
Yes, that was a space I realized that I flourished more.
Okay.
Because I'm a people person.
Beautiful.
I am able to communicate comfortably, and I was able to now sell whatever I was selling.
Right,
so then I knew that was a space I wanted to play in.
Okay.
So then I was into sales and marketing. Then that was when I realized that, okay, now I needed some education to be able to be noticed and appreciated in that space. So that's when I decided to do an MBA in marketing.
Oh, great.
So then I ventured into GIMPA and did my executive MBA in marketing. Yeah. So that was finished in 2012.
Okay.
And I played in the media space at sales and marketing all this while till last year.
Very well.
Yeah.
Okay. So great. So if you've been listening to Kafui, he's been telling us about his story. And the story is, he thought he could do something.
Yep.
You thought you could do something, but you were not fulfilled in what you were doing. And one day you just got up, the thing just told you, don't go to work.
Don't go to work, I didn't feel like going.
And then you didn't go to work, and then you just decided that, okay, fine. You sat around, and then through links.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, this is the power of relationships.
Oh, yeah.
You knew somebody who knew
somebody who knew my ability, and then
Great.
Yeah.
So we need to develop our relationships, and that person introduced you to the boss.
Yeah.
And you found yourself in that space.
Yeah.
Correct.
Exactly.
And then when you found that you were fulfilled in that area, you knew this was it for you.
Yeah.
And you pursued it with an education.
Yeah.
Into executive MBA.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Did you take notes? This is Kafui Dogbatse. We will be right back on Business Moments. My name is Kafui Dogbatse.
Are you still searching for the right platform to share your voice, thoughts, and feelings? Then the GhanaWeb Reporter on the GhanaWeb app is the perfect app for you. It is Ghana's only citizen journalism and infotainment platform. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, GhanaWeb Reporter links you up to the world. The reporter also gives you the opportunity to blog or become a citizen journalist, so you share stories with the rest of the world about cities, music genres, pop culture, tech, politics, etc. Download the GhanaWeb app from the Google Play Store or App Store on your smartphone and open it. Tap on the member button at the bottom of your screen and follow the easy steps to register with your phone number or email, and you are ready to become a reporter.
GhanaWeb Reporter, democratizing journalism and empowering content creators.
Welcome back obviously, to the best TV, GhanaWeb TV, where we are on Business Moments. My name is Blankson, Eko Blankson, and of course, I've got a wonderful man here who is the CEO of Aspire Destinations. His name is Kafui Dogbatse. He's been telling us about his story, where he has come from, how he thought that he had something that he could do in terms of talent, and later on, didn't think it was right. How he switched through relationships and got to do what he really wanted to do and pursued it in education. We're yet to hear a lot about what he's doing right now, and definitely he's going to tell us. Welcome. Hey, Kafui. So, because of that, you got your MBA and you're fine now, and then you decided to move. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Or you did something before that?
Actually, the way I ended up in travel intrigues me myself sometimes. Okay, so this is what happened. So for about 10 years, I worked with Charterhouse. I was head of the production unit responsible for sales and marketing, as business and development, everything in that space.
Very well.
So because I was into sales and I deal a lot with, for example, airlines. So anybody in the company who wanted to travel will come to me and go like, Kafui, can you get me a deal from this airline?
Okay.
Can you get me this deal? Can we get it? So then I used to do that. So sometime in 2019, I had a lot of requests. And I'm like, okay. And this was something I was just doing for free. So one day I woke up, I'm like, okay, I'm doing this thing and I'm doing it for free. I might as well turn it into a business.
There we go.
Then I was like, okay. So then I just went to register Aspire Destinations. Actually, Aspire came about because I already had a company called Aspire Media, which does media related stuff on the side.
Okay.
So then I was like, okay, why think of a new name? Might as well build a group of companies here.
Indeed.
So then I decided, okay, I'll go with Aspire Destinations. So then I formed Aspire Destinations. So it was supposed to be a side hustle. But I still worked at Charterhouse, so it was something I used to do, and I used to just resell packages for other tour companies.
Okay.
So I went to one company, and we spoke, and I said, okay, fine, they'll give me their packages to sell at a discount, then I could mark up. So then it was something I started in 2019, and then COVID hit. Then travel just went down. So luckily, late 2020. It looked like we were okay, so travel started again. So the 2020 November was when I did my own first solo group to Dubai. I was able to put together.
You put together people who were interested in
traveling
or touring a destination.
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, I was very surprised. The very first group I managed to put together, we were about 26. 26.
That's quite a number.
Yeah, that was I was very surprised myself.
Yeah.
So, and again, that's where people you know come into the space.
Relationships.
People you know.
Business relationships.
Yeah. So you go to people and go like, okay, I'm doing this thing. Oh, if it's you, we know you, then we can trust you. So then you can have that. So
another thing you have just said, trust.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Trust.
So
trust is very important. When you promise people a thing, especially in business, make sure you deliver exactly what you said, or at least go beyond.
I've heard this one, another businessman who has said that make sure that you deliver above what is expected, although it may be for the same price or even less. Because then people can repeat purchase.
Exactly. That's right. And in this line of business, one thing I've realized is key is referral.
Great.
If somebody travels with you or does any business with you, especially in the travel space where there are a lot of unknowns, the moment the person comes back and is happy, you are sure that anytime a conversation comes up, anybody talks about travel, they would mention, oh, I had a good experience with.
So Kafui, tell us, how many destinations have you gone so far? I know you're a startup, and so you just started. You've had the first 26. Have you gone again?
Oh yes. So after we did that first group in 2020, last year I did a total of about 6 groups.
Okay.
Mainly to Dubai.
Okay.
Yeah. So normally we try to give our passengers or our clients extra value in what we offer them. So for example, it's easy to go to Dubai. So that's why most often than not you see tours to Dubai, because in terms of getting visas and things like that, it's easy. I can get a visa for you without you having to show up personally. And you don't need all those supporting documents that most of the traditional embassies do. So it's easy to do that. And it's relatively cheaper to do that. So we try to see how can we give people value beyond one destination. So then we go, most often than not, we do a twin city combo. So we're able to fly Kenya Airways, and luckily Kenya Airways has a long layover in Nairobi. So what we try to do, instead of staying in the airport, we add a tour to it. So you arrive in the morning, you go into town, have a few tours, come back in the evening, catch your flight, and you're off to Dubai. So for the price of one, you get to visit 2 cities.
Beautiful.
So that's something that we have offered our clients. So depending whether you fly Rwanda Air or in Kenya, what do you call it, Ethiopia or any other airline, you try to give them the experience of two cities. So we tried. That's something. So last year we did. I think total of 6 to Dubai mainly. We did South Africa too at some point, and this year we are in July. We've done 4 trips already to Dubai. We've done a trip to SA as well. Next month, August, we are doing a trip to Santorini, Greece. Yes, we're doing Santorini.
Wow.
And then
you got to put me on that.
Oh, you should. You should. This is one of the finest destinations in terms of holidays. It's a beautiful place to go to. So that's what we've done so far. Hopefully, before the end of the year, we'll do some other destinations, and we should be fine.
Very well. So, I mean, this is awesome. I mean, the way you started very small. This is a startup. I mean, you got interest. You were doing it. Sometimes they say that our side jobs or side hustle, as you put it, become our main interest. Yeah. That's exactly what you're doing and getting to travel and tour. Have you gotten to a point where you take people and they don't come back?
Okay, so luckily, I haven't had that experience. And again, for our line of business, we need to be able to maintain some credibility with the embassies or the consulates that we work with. So before we add you to our group, we need to do our own due diligence to be sure that you're going to come back. Because the moment you don't come back, you have missed out opportunities for other people. Great. So in as much as we are in the business of making money, it's not every money that we will take. So if we do the vetting and we cannot trust that you would adhere to the terms and conditions of the visa that you'll be given, we might not go with you. Because it's very important.
To what extent are you rich, Kafui? CEOs running your own business, would you say that you are rich or you're comfortable or you are...
Okay, so one thing
I know. I'm just
one thing I've realized, and of course, you've from work experience. Luckily for me, I've worked directly with all the CEOs of the companies I've worked with, so I understand the challenges that business owners face. But of course, since you're not directly, you see it differently. But then once you step into the side, you realize that every money you make or you have, you want to pump it into the business.
Right. As a startup.
Yes, you want to every money you get from whatever, you want to pump into the business because you want to be able to grow
percentage. Teach us. How much of percentage of money do you pump back into the business?
Everything, actually.
100%?
Everything.
Then what do you live on? Your children, what do they live on?
Oh, at least for now, by God's grace, I don't have to pay rent.
Okay, you have your own place.
So I don't have to pay rent. You're able to pay your children's school fees.
From where?
Okay, so but then one thing, you pay yourself a salary.
Okay, great.
Yes. Whichever way, one thing I learned a long time ago is that always pay yourself a salary.
Okay.
Do not think that the business account is your personal account. Okay. So have a business account of your
and be content with that salary that you're getting.
And one thing I did was that I pay myself as per my last salary, my last job.
Okay,
that's how much I was making at this company, which to me is my worth, my value in terms. So I pay myself that salary. That's the same salary I pay myself here. So I believe that when I'm able to grow and get to the level that I think I want to get to, then probably I'll be able to pay myself CEO's salaries.
On that point, where do you want to get to in terms of growth? Where are you right now? What will be that trajectory, business trajectory that you'll be going through, and where do you want to get into?
Okay, so I want to be the company which sets the pace in terms of destinations in Ghana, destination holidays in Ghana. Okay, so I've identified, these are the audience I speak to, or these are the clienteles I try to. I divided into two groups.
Right.
They are the first-time travelers, so those who haven't had the opportunity of traveling outside before, who are looking for that first experience. So I'm putting together packages to suit them.
Very well.
So then that's there. And then we have those who have been to everywhere conceivable. They've toured the Europes, they've toured the Americas, but are still looking for somewhere to go to. So I'm making it my job to now go look for those places that they haven't yet been to. So there is some wonderful place in Jordan that most people don't know about. I've gone to discover it. So I'm going to tell you who is looking for their next destination to go to. Have you considered going to Jordan? They'll go like, Jordan?
Yeah.
And I tell you that, listen, this is what you can do in how do you call it, in Jordan.
Okay.
Now, somebody in Africa or in Ghana wants to experience snow, but then might not be able to go to Europe to experience snow. Do you know that you can experience snow in Africa? In Lesotho.
Oh, okay.
Most people don't know that.
Sometimes in a brewery.
So you actually see the snow. It falls. A lot of people don't know that. So I can take you to Lesotho when the snow falls for you to experience what you would have experienced if you had gone to Europe or gone to America. So that is.
And it will be cheaper, right?
It will be relatively cheaper, and you don't have the hustle of trying to prove whether you will come back. That kind of thing. So what we're trying to do as a company is to be able to speak to those two people, make travel as easy and as cheap as possible for the first-time traveler, and also be able to offer that frequent traveler new opportunities for them to now go and explore.
Awesome.
That's where we are going.
Awesome indeed. I think that your growth pattern is really great, and obviously you've got a good clientele. Still looking for others to do this. Okay, what has been your hustle? What hurts you?
Truth be told, my biggest challenge has been the exchange rate. Unfortunately, because you're buying services out of country, you need to buy forex to be able to pay. You pay the airlines in cedi, in local currency, but then wherever destination you're going to, the hotels and tours, you have to pay in forex. So that has been the main challenge. I mean, let me shock you. So last year, around this time last year, I could sell a package to Dubai for 6,000 cedis. I'm talking tickets, accommodation, tours, visa, everything for a week. For 7 days.
I don't think I can go to Dubai with 6,000 for a week.
Oh yeah, that's the beauty of working with a company like us, because we're able to have good discounts with the airlines.
That's where I was coming to.
In the same way, we're able to have good discounts with the the hotels outside. So
well.
we are able to offer you such packages.
Okay.
So sometimes you talk to people like you, and you tell them I can take you to Dubai for 6,000. They go like, okay.
I've traveled many times.
Yeah, I've traveled many times. My ticket is more than 6,000. Then I'll tell you that's why I come into the space, because I'm able to
get bulk
discounts from all these things.
Okay.
So last year I was able to sell a package to Dubai for 6,000 cedis.
Okay.
Now that same package, nothing has changed. It's the same airline, and the price of ticket hasn't really gone up. The same package from Dubai, but unfortunately now I'm selling that same package for 11,000 cedis.
Any reason why?
Exchange rate. The cedi has
depreciated. Does it mean that you've transferred the challenge to your...
Sadly, we have to transfer the loss to the client.
Is there any creative way that you might be thinking about in solution to make it easier for your customers as well?
We're still... Okay, so for us, what we try to do, since we cannot do anything so much about the value, what we as Aspire try to do is that we want to give you extra in terms of the experience.
Okay. Of which I would have paid for.
So ordinarily, when you pay for a package like that within the industry standards, you're entitled to, most tour companies will give you 3 tours. Of course, you have your airline, your accommodation, and they'll give you 3 tours. But Aspire will give you 4 tours.
Okay.
So yes, for the value of 3, you enjoy 4. So that is our way of trying to compensate for the increase in the package that we could not do much about because those were variables outside our control.
You're just taking me to my next question.
Okay.
That will be, what makes you different?
Oh,
there are so many of them. We hear about them doing touring and blah blah blah. Some cancel and stuff like that. After the people have paid and everything, it's difficult sometimes to get their monies back and blah blah. What makes you different as per destinations?
Okay, so like I just said, where we try to give you extra from what everybody else gives you. One thing that has worked for me so far, and I'm hoping I can extend it, I think that my personality has kind of helped in giving the travelers some experience on the trips that they would not get from other tours. I'm saying this from experience and feedback that I have gotten from those who have traveled. Now, of course, I cannot go on every trip. So I look at the dynamics of those in the group, and then if I can afford to go, I go, or else I make my tour people to go. So there was this particular, in April, I had 2 destinations simultaneously. I had a group to Dubai, and I had a group to, South Africa for the Easter break. Now, I had a few people who were part of my Dubai group earlier saying that they wanted to do the SA trip. So they came on the SA trip. The assumption they had was obviously I was going to be on that trip. So fortunately, I couldn't go, so I had to go. When 2 days into the trip, they called me and they were mad. They were like, they decided to come on that trip because I was on, because of the experience they had with me on an. So then, and I got that feedback too from a few.
That's really positive.
Yeah, so I need to find a way of managing all that, because of course, obviously, I cannot be on everything. So I need to bring my staff to that level where they're able to give the clients an experience. Because for us at Aspire, and one of my driving philosophies is that I'm helping you to create memories, and those memories should be exciting. It should be beautiful.
Splendid. It should stay.
It should stay.
It should linger on.
Yes, because the time will come, I'm sure, where the only thing we have will be the memories we're able to create across over the years.
Tell me, but if you want to, it's good to build people. It's good to build them to your level. Obviously, they can't be like you, but they would be close.
Yeah.
You're not afraid as a CEO that somebody might take your business?
Oh, surprisingly, I've never been afraid of things like that.
So don't be afraid as CEO.
No.
That's what you're saying.
No. I mean, no matter what happens, because obviously I worked somewhere and I was able to build myself and get here. So personally, I would never feel threatened by an employee, because if an employee of mine can break out and set up, that means I've done something right.
Good. Last question. So, a big setup does not bring success, I mean, so to say, or it does not mean being successful.
Yeah.
A small setup like yours, because how many staff do you have as permanent?
Okay, as permanent, I have an assistant who is permanent. Most of the people I have are on freelance, on a contract basis.
On contract.
On contract.
Okay, so you don't have to
carry a lot of
people with you, because as I see here, I wonder how many other people can sit here, but they are somewhere, and they are working for you. All right, and this is also the power of technology.
Yes. So if COVID taught us anything, we don't need to be in an office space to work.
Exactly.
You can work from wherever.
Exactly.
As long as you have clear deliverables, You can make it happen. So, of course, as we grow, of course, you need to have some permanent staff because of the structure you need to build. So, but then I want to take it slowly because I've seen businesses crash because they overexposed.
Okay.
Or they scaled up too quickly.
Too quickly.
So I think my 20 plus years has taught me a lot. So I want to take it one day at a time. But as many a thing I can outsource, I will outsource.
Take it one day at a time, manage your scalability,
yes,
and ensure that you have the right people outsourced.
Yes.
That's very strategic.
Yeah.
And that's very thoughtful of you. Thank you very much. For accepting us into your petite space. Has been just wonderful. I like your portrait, by the way.
That's a birthday present, actually.
This guy is smiling out there. Make it look like he's so rich. But he will be rich.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But we'll be following you. We'll be following you. This will not be the last. We'll come here and we'll remind you of some of the things that you have said. And we'll go back to some of the things to make sure that you have moved from the 1 to the 2 and to 3 and probably got into 10. We want to celebrate with you. GhanaWeb TV would like to celebrate your moments where you have this place and what you're doing right now. Okay, so this has been GhanaWeb TV. This has been Business Moments, and we've been talking to Kafui Dogbatse, who is the CEO of Aspire Destinations. He's told you quite a lot about how he started, where he is now. It doesn't have to go very fast to scale up, but to make sure that he takes it one day at a time, strategically. I hope you took notes. Well, this is GhanaWeb TV, actually on GhanaWeb, where we have lots of products for you. We've got the GhanaWeb Club, of course, which is a community. You can register on GhanaWeb and be a member of GhanaWeb. And obviously, you can get some discounts. Part of those discounts you can get from Aspire Destinations, I can promise you that. He gives discounts to his clients, but you, as a member of GhanaWeb, can even get more discounts from Aspire Destinations. And also, we've got GhanaWeb Reporter, which, of course, we're making sure that we're democratizing journalism. You can also be a reporter on GhanaWeb, have your own page, and blog out there and write anything that you want to write. Obviously, that will be checked as well. Then we've got the GhanaWeb Memorial. Hey, people have died or people will die, but obviously keep the memory of these people. Write out their stories, write out their tributes, get their pictures, even get the destination, the place of the grave, so people can remind you a year after. And that's GhanaWeb Memorial. So many things coming up on GhanaWeb, and indeed you should be there. We've also got something beautiful for the women as well. My hairdo, check it out. Just go on GhanaWeb, go to artpure.gh.com. Obviously, you'll find so many things on GhanaWeb over there. Thank you very much for joining us on Business Moments. My name is Eko Blankson, and I've been with Kafui Dogbatse. Thank you very much, my brother.
Thank you for having me
so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, catch you again next week. Another fantastic guest will be with us. Cheers.
We were also told that foreign bondholders are going to get 30% haircut on their principal. So, Speaker, and 30% on their interest. So, Speaker, I want to caution that foreign bondholders are not necessarily foreigners. There are Ghanaian banks, Ghanaian institutions, and Ghanaian businesses that have bought Ghana's Eurobond. And so, if you are treating them, treat them well. And be mindful that whatever happens in terms of the haircut you want to give to them is going to affect the economy also going forward. So, Speaker, banks will struggle under this arrangement. Businesses are going to go down, Mr. Speaker, and the repercussion, if care is not taken, is going to affect all of us. So, Speaker, I can see an economic tsunami. I can see an economic tsunami coming. So, Speaker, the year 2023, this budget has failed to address the concerns of the ordinary Ghanaian. So, Speaker, 2023 will be disastrous. So, Speaker, what surprises me is that the government seems to put the burden sharing largely on the creditor and again on the taxpayer. But I want to find out, this government that is asking everyone to contribute, including the pension fund, including the credit unions, the rural banks, to get haircut on their interest. So, Speaker, this government is increasing expenditure by 82 billion cedis. 82. So, Speaker, from last year. So, Speaker, I want to find out what is occasioning this increase in this expenditure. So, Speaker, last year's budget, this government informed us that the total appropriation that we passed as a house was 145 billion. So, Speaker, without supplementary estimate, the minister again has said that he's going to exceed appropriations to 153 billion by the end of the year. So, Speaker, you can find this in page 187 of the budget. So, Speaker, who authorized the minister to spend in excess of appropriations? So, Speaker, this is a case of another censorship motion. Who authorized the minister? So, Speaker, we approved for you to spend 145 billion. You are saying you are going to spend in excess of that to 153 billion, your own budget statement. So, Speaker, the minister again informed us that the arrears amount he owes to contractors was 8 billion Ghana cedis in the last budget. Again, in this year's budget, he said the arrears, page 187, he is saying the arrears that he's going to clear in the next 4 years is 37 billion Ghana cedis, Mr. Speaker, and not 8 billion. So are you telling us that within 1 year, you have accumulated almost 30 billion in arrests? So, Speaker, I can assure you that when it comes to appropriations, all these arrest details, we will request for the details. So, Speaker, this budget is nothing to write home about. This is Kafui Dogbatse budget. This is a budget that is asking you to go home and die. This is a bad budget, Mr. Speaker. I believe that as a house, we should have a critical look at this budget. Mr. Speaker, the budget is not inspirational. The budget is not inspirational. It is dead on arrival. It is dead on arrival. It is going to impose additional taxes on the people. Mr. Speaker, in the end, remember that His Excellency the President has said to the people of Ghana and to the investor community that there will be no haircut. Not knowing, he announced that there will be no haircut at the time that he was preparing to give domestic bondholders Sapora. At the time that he was preparing to give foreign bondholders Ponkijo. Mr. Speaker, this should be rejected. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, to conclude on this matter, let us be minded that this country is going through hardships already. The people of Ghana are already tired of the mismanagement of our economic circumstances. Unemployment is going high. Yet, Mr. Speaker, this budget fails to resolve our concerns. My worry is we should all pray for the Republic of Ghana. Because the way this country is going, until this administration, particularly the economic management team, including the Vice President, leave their job, Mr. Speaker, this country has no future. This country has no future. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Ghana monetary policy rate, yesterday they announced it at 27%. 27% as at yesterday. Mr. Speaker, again, Interest rate, government of Ghana is borrowing at T-bill rate at 35%. Short end, 35%. So, Speaker, it will surprise you to note that if you go to some banks to borrow today, I had an offer from a bank, 47.7% before you can get a loan from a bank. So, Speaker, 47.7%. So, Speaker, that is how bad the current economic situation is. So, Speaker, if government decide to go out there to borrow from the international bond market, the Euro bond market, we will borrow dollar at 38% today. 38% dollar. So, Speaker, obviously because our current economic situation is so bad that everyone, creditors out there, are so skeptical that government cannot repay its debt. So they are running away from the Republic of Ghana. So, Speaker, unemployment, particularly youth employment, is inching close to 50%. Almost 50%. So, Speaker, yet this budget fails to address the concerns that we have. So, Speaker, unemployment is now becoming a national security crisis. So, Speaker, there's a massive cost of living crisis as we find ourselves. So, Speaker, it will surprise you to know that marriages are collapsing because of this government. Marriages are collapsing because cost of living is becoming so high. So, Speaker, that is where we found ourselves.
Page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Honorable members, in the absence of any corrections, the votes and proceedings of the 21st sitting held on Tuesday, 29th November 2022 are adopted as a true record of proceedings. I have a copy of the official report of Friday, 4th November 2022. Any corrections? Yes, the honorable member for Kwadaso.
Honorable Speaker, I have some few identified corrections to be made in this report on columns 8, 21, and 24. On column 8, C, the last but two lines, organization of the 13th African Games to be held in Accra in 2023 by Concert Limited. It should be 13th, not 13. The same is found on D, last but two lines, 13th. The if should be added. Then on column 21, number 1528, the last word, constituency, the T was omitted, CONSTITUENCY. Then 24, under Mr. Kofi Adams, the last but one line, if I may read, 945 and 946, but the he, I think it should be then, or we delete the D, because it doesn't make, it doesn't sound right if we keep the he. So it should be 945 and 946, but then he was not able to read the answers. Thank you.
Honorable Member, we are grateful for the corrections. Table office kindly take note. Honorable Members, in the absence of any further corrections, the official report of Friday, 4th November 2022 is hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. Yes, Deputy Majority Leader.
The Speaker, with respect, if you'll be pleased, I have an application to make, which application I've already discussed with my colleagues on the other side. Suffice to state that we forgot to engage you on it. So we apologize on that miscommunication. The application is simply to grant leave for the Agric Minister to make a statement in respect of the Farmers' Day, which is to be held Friday, and then 2nd of December. And tomorrow, because of the preparations, he informs us that he will be there at Koforidua. So, Mr. Speaker, we've agreed that with your leave, we may proceed to make that short statement to commemorate the event. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Well, Speaker, there should be no problem once that finds favor with you. But next time around, the Deputy Leader must be fully in charge. You ought to have apprised Mr. Speaker about the fact that a Minister of State, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, affectionately referred to as a presence friend, that he will be coming before the August House, Mr. Speaker, to make a statement to salute our farmers and fisher folk. So, Mr. Speaker, once it finds favor with you, we can hear him. But, Mr. Speaker, because it was not discussed at conclave, we probably will say that after his statement, you allow 2 or 3 comments, then the leadership, two, including leadership 3, so that we can focus on the debate on the budget. Okay, so 2, 1 plus leadership on his statement, then, Mr. Speaker, that's a further application to you. If we hear him, we allow for a member from either side, then the leaders to comment on his statement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Members. Honorable Members, I should not have a problem in granting permission to the Minister for Food and Agriculture to make a statement to celebrate our hard-working farmers and to observe the 38th edition of the National Farmers' Day. But the Minister should be informed that he cannot always come and sneak in to do these things without discussing with those in charge of the house. Even though it's the house of the people, some people are in possession of it. And the minister must give due respect to those people. It's clear, direct information. And the minister understands that. And so I will grant him permission to make the statement and allow 2 members from each side, inclusive of leadership, to make comments. Definitely, we have to annually be celebrating our hard-working farmers for sustaining our lives from birth to death. And so, Minister, you have my permission to make the statement.
Mr. Speaker, I am very grateful for allowing me to make this statement. The majority leader has been, in fact, even this morning, I spoke to him about it. It's unfortunate he's not here. And maybe that's why it escaped your notice before coming. Mr. Speaker, thank you for admitting me to this august house for the sole purpose of inviting your good self and the honorable members of Parliament to this year's National Farmers' Day celebration. Pursuant to Public Holidays Act 2001, Act 601, this year's National Farmers' Day, 38th edition, falls on Friday, the 2nd of December, 2022. As I speak, preparations are feverishly underway to ensure a memorable and successful occasion following the official launch of the celebration on Friday, the 16th of September, 2022. On the advice of the National Planning Committee, the launch was organized virtually with the participation of our sponsors, development partners, representatives of farmers, the private sector, amongst others. The high point of the occasion was the official announcement and symbolic handover to the Eastern region as the host of this year's National Farmers' Day celebrations. The choice of the Eastern region was based on a long-standing rotational principle for determining the venue of National Farmers' Day celebrations in this country. Mr. Speaker, in keeping with the tradition, His Excellency the President, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, will lead the celebrations at the Grand Durbar and Award Ceremony to be held at Kafui Dogbatse Jubilee Park on Friday, the 2nd of December. He will be supported by Ministers of State, development partners, sponsors, and other dignitaries. Similar events will be held at the regional and district levels throughout the country to give the occasion the deserved national character. Mr. Speaker, the theme for this year's National Farmers' Day celebration is, and I quote, "Accelerating agricultural development through value addition," unquote. The theme aligns with the government's vision of modernizing and transforming agriculture, relevant objectives of the President's coordinated program of socio-economic development policies, and the Sustainable Development Goals, especially Goals number 1 and 2, which advocate the eradication of extreme poverty in all forms and zero hunger, respectively. The theme also highlights government's recognition and commitment to the sustainable development and transformation of Ghana's agriculture, as well as signify government's appreciation of the need to fully harness the potential of our agriculture. Mr. Speaker, the strategic intervention and the success of the Planting for Food and Jobs campaign speaks clearly to the government's relentless efforts to systematically addressing the long-standing problems of Ghana's agriculture. Since 2017, investments have been made by the government in the various subsectors of agriculture, resulting in significant achievements. Notable impacts are visible in the food crop subsector, where farmers continue to benefit from subsidized input programs and millions of seedlings of 6 selected tree crops distributed free of charge to farmers throughout the country as part of the diversification agenda of this government. The horticultural subsector now has 3 new greenhouse centers located at Dawinya in Greater Accra, Bodjase in the central region, Akumadan in the Greater Accra. Others include the construction and rehabilitation of major irrigation scheme, feeder roads, and 80 1,000 metric ton capacity warehouses constructed throughout the country. Mr. Speaker, the positive outcomes of these activities are reflected in the macroeconomic statistics. In 2019, the agriculture sector grew by 4.7%, followed by 7.4% in 2020, and a record 8.4% in 2021. With the excellent rains this year, we expect the substantial growth performance of recent years to be repeated in 2022. The strong growth in recent years have increased the share of agricultural sector in Ghana's GDP from 18% in 2016 to 22% by 2021. These impressive results were posted by the sector against all odds when multiple external shocks and unfavorable external global conditions had impacted virtually every economy, including Ghana. Supply chains have been badly disrupted, resulting in acute shortage in critical inputs like fertilizers. The animal sector, which has been badly hit by diseases such as swine flu and the highly pathogenic avian influenza, while farmlands were also being destroyed by galamsey activities. Mr. Speaker, we in government recognize that the impressive performance of the agricultural sector is largely due to sacrifices and the tireless effort of our heroic farmers. As a people, the least we can do, therefore, is to continue to celebrate and reward our farmers with rising farm productivity and incomes. The expectation of many, Mr. Speaker, is that honorable members of Parliament will be visible and prominent in the celebration through their active support and appreciation of our farmers. This is essential, given our shared and collective responsibility to develop our country with agriculture as the main driving force. I have no doubt that I can count on your full participation at this 38th National Farmers' Day celebration to ensure a befitting honor of our farmers. Mr. Speaker, once again, thank you for the privilege granted to me to convey my personal invitation and that of the government of Ghana to you and all honorable members of to Kafui Dogbatse on Friday, the 2nd December 2022. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, we will now listen to comments from the House. And I don't have the list of names here, but I will prefer members from the committee, Food and Agric, or those who think they are better endowed in the subject area to make the comments. So ranking member, or you are deferring to your deputy ranking? Yes. Is that the honorable member for Nalerugu Gambaga constituency?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Are you a farmer?
Mr. Speaker, I'm a farmer's son.
So you inherited your
I'm yet to start
profession.
farming myself.
Did you inherit the profession?
Thank you. Thank you, right on.
I said, did you inherit your father's profession?
I didn't inherit, but I think that I will be able to find land somewhere to do the farming.
Yes, you may go on.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, This is a very important statement made by the minister. Mr. Speaker, what is even more important of this statement has to do with the theme for the Farmers' Day. And the theme is accelerating agricultural development through value additions. Now, Mr. Speaker, for years now, we have been talking about how to add value to our agricultural products. And that is very serious. My only challenge has to do with the policies and the programs and the plans that the ministry and the government is putting in place to be able to achieve this. We can only grow as a nation if we add value to what we produce. And that is why I say that this statement is very important. Except that running through the programs of the ministry, you don't see that happening. The flagship project that the ministry has to do with planting for food and jobs. Mr. Speaker, this year, we have not recorded any significant yield. If you go to the farm, go to the ground, and I'm sure that is why the minister had to find a way to bring food from the hinterlands to Accra. But the issue is that we have poor yield, and the poor yield is a manifestation of the input that we give out. Now, fertilizer was an issue for us in this farming period. Mr. Speaker, you realize that even money to pay these fertilizer suppliers was a challenge, and I guess we are still even owing them. So I will say that we can only celebrate good yield. We can only celebrate availability of fertilizer. We can only celebrate good roads. We can only celebrate storage facilities to be able to take care of the lean season and the rising prices that we are likely to experience this year. Mr. Speaker, I will urge the ministry to look more serious in addressing this challenge of value additions. Until we begin to add value to our raw materials, we will continue to struggle with our forex. And I'm sure that is the foundation that we have today, that we have this forex volatility. Everything that we do is imported. Until we get to the basics and make sure that we mean what we say, we do what we mean, we do practical things that will address the challenges of the farmer, Mr. Speaker, we will continue to wallow in shambles. On this note, I commend the minister for coming out with this team, especially on this very, very important day. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. To contribute to this very all-important statement, which is announcing to us the Farmers' Day. Honourable Speaker, I am also of the humble view that the theme should translate into reality, accelerating agricultural development through value addition. Honourable Speaker, if we continue in that kind of agriculture, which is so anachronistic and ancient, we will not have the benefit of agriculture. I believe that the pillar and prop of our economy can be agriculture. There's no dispute about it at all. We should move from the kind of agriculture policies and undertakings which are stomach directed, that we want to feed our people. I think that is too basic for our forward movement. We should direct our efforts that agriculture should supply in substantial terms the raw material for industry. And that is when we begin to enhance the benefits of agriculture. Honourable Speaker, let me take the all-important commodity called cocoa. We pride ourselves that Ghana is one of the leading exporters of raw cocoa beans. Honourable Speaker, until we come to the point where what we get from cocoa, which is chocolate, which has become one of the serious appetites for the men of white color pigmentation. I mean, the Americans and the Europeans, and the appetite for chocolate. And say that we have sufficient factories in Ghana, that we are not going to export most of our cocoa beans to European countries and produce chocolate for purposes of getting Switzerland to import the finished product chocolate. And then you receive serious foreign exchange to help in balancing our accounts here. We have not started having the benefits of agriculture at all. And therefore, it's imperative that we should be able to produce the cocoa beans here, and then for value addition purposes, proceed to have good factories. That we should be able to produce chocolate of better quality than what Switzerland is producing. I think that will be the game changer. Honourable Speaker, one of the things which is also a worrying factor is that our agriculture is the rain-fed type. Now, our food supplies and outputs go down depending on the vagaries of the weather. Whilst you have some countries who do not have the kind of weather that we have, but technology-driven agriculture, in which irrigation systems are working, will go a long way to enhance our agricultural production. Whether there is good rainfall patterns or not, arrangements have been put in place that we can have all year, harvest of tomatoes or cashew or any other crop, because we are not going to say that we didn't have good weather and therefore they couldn't produce agriculture. I found it a bit worrying that there was a whole shortage of wheat supply because of the Russia-Ukrainian war. And I'm beginning to see that can we produce wheat at all? We, as a tropical nation, I don't know, Minister of Agriculture, I'll have a private conversation on this matter. Because I'm educated that 1/3 of the wheat supply of the entire world is from Ukraine. How good and pleasant it will be that we also direct our attention to say that we also try and move from the known and the traditional levels of agriculture and go into wheat production so that we'll be able to meet the needs of the world. Honourable Speaker, I think it is very important to congratulate our farmers who for a long time have been helping in our food production and the rest of it. But how good and pleasant it will be that one day agriculture will have such value addition that Ghana will be a net exporter of finished products. And also, we could also be a net exporter of food itself. This is where we should go. And I thank the maker of this statement, the able Minister for Agric, for all that is done so far, it will continue to do. Sorry? Well, in fact, the incoming president, who, if he has the opportunity to control the budget, will address agricultural issues. Yes, because I think the NDC is wishing well that when you control the budget, remember agriculture. I thank you for this statement.
Yes, we now go to leadership. Well, yes, ranking member.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to comment on the statement made by the Minister for Agriculture. First and foremost, I also want to add my voice to what has been said earlier in congratulating the farmers of our country who, in spite of the numerous challenges, succeeded in producing food to keep everybody in this country going. Mr. Speaker, our farmers deserve to be congratulated. We salute them for their hard work and for the spirit to ensure that regardless of the challenges, every person in our country is fed. But Mr. Speaker, this special day was set aside somewhere in the early 80s for two important things. One, to commend our responsible farmers for their distinguished performance in the agricultural sector. And two, to discuss ways of improving agricultural productivity and production in our country. Mr. Speaker, before 1984, the outbreak of fire consumed our farms. Ghana ran out of food, and there was the urgent need for us to ensure that we increase food production to fight against hunger. Mr. Speaker, it was against this background that the PNDC government at the time rolled out a lot of measures in the agricultural sector, which eventually led to the highest growth in agriculture ever recorded in our country, 30% at the time, 30%, Mr. Speaker. From that poor background, we came out from hunger, producing all that we needed at the time, and everybody applauded this nation for our contributions. Mr. Speaker, you recall that within the period, the then head of state was invited to one of the European countries and was given an award for fighting against hunger in Ghana. Hunger and poverty in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, FAO's Food and Agriculture Organization awarded His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings for that sterling performance. Mr. Speaker, where are we now? Why is it that nature has been kind to us and has bestowed on us all that it takes for agriculture to be used to develop our nation, yet we are still unable to produce enough food to feed our people? Mr. Speaker, what are the challenges? What are the challenges? Number one, the first challenge is lack of investment in the agricultural sector. Lack of investment in the agricultural sector. Mr. Speaker, in 2003, Ghana signed onto the Maputo Declaration. Under the declaration, African heads of states agreed that for agriculture to assume its rightful place in the development agenda of our nations, we should commit not less than 10% of our annual budget towards agriculture. Mr. Speaker, even today, the 2023 budget we are doing, total allocation to the agricultural sector is around 1%. It's around 1%. So, 2023 budget. Mr. Speaker, we have all agreed that if we are able to commit 10% of our annual budget to agriculture, we can use agriculture to transform our nation. Yet, we are unable to do that. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the budget, the 2023 budget, last year, 2022, when you look at the revised figures, an amount of 131 million was allocated for the Planting for Food and Jobs program. But the budget reports that as at the time the budget is being presented, only 34 million Ghana cedis has been released. And so we are not making the financial commitment to ensure that agriculture expansion is achieved. Because that is the problem we have. The Honorable Atachi spoke about irrigation. Yes, rain-fed agriculture can never provide us the solution to food challenges that we have in our country. And so there is the need for us to provide irrigation to ensure all year-round food production in the country. But Mr. Speaker, we write, we say, everywhere we chorus around the country that we are investing in agriculture, we are investing in irrigation. Sometimes we even perform soil cutting ceremonies without releasing monies for the execution of the projects. Mr. Speaker, look at what has happened to Palugu irrigation program, the project. The project is stalled just because after the performance of the soil cutting ceremony, a program that was attended and addressed by His Excellency the President, even the mobilization has not been paid. Yes. So it is important for all of us that as we celebrate the day, and then we put our heads together to provide solutions to the numerous challenges confronting agriculture, we all agree as leaders of our nation to make financial commitments and to deliver on our promises, make resources available so that the Minister for Agriculture will not only be speaking, he will be doing.
Honorable Member, please, just a minute. The Deputy Majority Leader has caught my eye. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, the member on his feet is attempting to provoke debate. This statement requires of us to make brief comments. And Mr. Speaker, he's veering off. And Mr. Speaker, if you may permit me, on the 72, it's very clear of what is expected to be done. Now he is going into the budget and saying that certain provisions were not made, and he quoting figures, which figures he's not telling us exactly which page. So, Mr. Speaker, I am simply drawing the attention of my respected colleague to use the opportunity to operate within the remit of the rules so that he doesn't start his own debate. Mr. Speaker, I so submit.
Honorable Deputy Majority Leader, I've also been struggling with what is happening on the floor. And I sought guidance from the rules. And I think that we need to do some more work to clarify the rules. I was trying to situate the statement, whether it's a statement of government policy or it's a ceremonial statement of celebrating an anniversary. Now, what you refer to is a statement of government policy or announcement of a government's policy, and they are guided by the rules referred to. But when you come to ceremonial speeches, we don't have such guidance there. It's a practice we've been trying to use because generally statements are not meant to provoke debate. That's the general practice. But under the rules, 71 does not say that they should make comments and that the comments should be guided by what has already been submitted. That is in 70 Rule 2. That is the challenge I was faced with. So it's not just the ranking member alone, but the earlier, particularly the honorable member for Nalirgu Gambaga, equally made statements that were debatable. And so I was held, and I couldn't stop any of them because of the nature of our rules. But I take your concern on board, and I will advise member that in accordance with the practice, be guided by what is the convention in the House. Don't make statements that will provoke debate. And usually, the comments are brief. I say this because you kept on referring to the budget. The budget. You know, and you know the budget is on the debate now. And so, can you just move out of that place and end up with brief comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the guidance. Mr. Speaker, I was looking at some of the challenges that as farmers we face in our country, and also how we can all contribute towards the development of
the focus of the statement is for us to celebrate.
You are celebrating challenges.
Celebrate our farmers using the 38th edition. So, yes, you can refer to it, challenges. But
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Yes, the day is for us to celebrate. Mr. Speaker, apart from the fanfare, we also have to use the day to dissect some of the challenges we have and to also chart a good path so that the following year we can celebrate and celebrate better than we did the previous year. So, Mr. Speaker, while celebrating the farmers, I was drawing the attention of the House to the need for us to invest hugely in that sector and then also improve upon irrigation. Mr. Speaker, I was also going to talk about storage facilities. Storage facilities. Yes, the farmers produce crops like plantain, cassava in abundance during the seasons. But unfortunately, as a nation, we do not have storage facilities to store them so that when the lean season, they can make some money from their sweat and labor. It is important for us as we celebrate the day and congratulate our farmers. As policymakers, we put in place the right mechanisms to ensure that agriculture becomes profitable for the numerous people engaged in it. Mr. Speaker, in Ghana, almost 50% of our workforce is engaged in agriculture. So we are now celebrating 50% of our population. But the maker of the statement mentioned they are contributing to GDP. He mentioned figures around 22, around 19%, and then the specific years. Mr. Speaker, if you are using half of your workforce to contribute less than 20% of your GDP, then you can understand the level of poverty among our people. And so we have to celebrate in joy, not in tears. And that is why there is the need for us not to talk about celebration alone, but to also bring to fore some of the challenges so that together, we can resolve some of these things and ensure that agriculture becomes the engine for growth in our country. Mr. Speaker, indeed, if attention is given to agriculture, we can use agriculture to create jobs for the teeming youth of our nation. We can use agriculture to stabilize our city. Yes. Because if we are able to add value, we create jobs along the value chain, export and make more money, and put smiles on the faces of these farmers. That is when Ghana can properly celebrate the day. Mr. Speaker, on this note, in spite of the difficulties, the challenges, the low investment, our farmers have demonstrated that they love this nation. They have demonstrated that regardless of the challenges, they will do their best to ensure that everybody is fed here. So we congratulate them, and it is our hope that the government will make available resources to reward deserving farmers who have performed responsibly in the sector. And the selection will be done without any partisan lenses. And deserving farmers will be awarded accordingly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah. Majority. Yes, you've been asked to speak for and on behalf of majority. The leadership. Is that the case? Yes, Deputy Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we are giving the opportunity to the chair of the Agri Committee. So, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to add my voice to
the statement made by the Minister for Food and Agriculture on the 38th day celebration of our gallant farmers. Mr. Speaker, I take advantage again to salute all farmers of the land and commend them on their contribution to national development. Mr. Speaker, anytime we mention farmers, some tend to forget about our fishermen. They are also doing their best in contributing to the food needs of the country. Mr. Speaker, if we cast our mind back to the days ago, we can talk about how our farmers toil in their various areas in coming out with their wares or whatever they produce in the farm. Mr. Speaker, they have gone through a lot. They have made it possible for Ghana to boast of whatever we consume here. Mr. Speaker, we cannot talk about farmers without talking about the crop sector and the livestock sector. Mr. Speaker, together, those who find themselves in these sectors are doing extremely well to position Ghana at a place that we can boast of food sufficiency. Mr. Speaker, as we speak now, though we have difficulties in the system, farmers have proven beyond all reasonable doubts that the Ghana economy or the Ghanaian economy can depend solidly on farmers. So, Speaker, when all sectors of the economy were recording negative growth, even during the COVID period, Agric showed the world that they are there to support humanity. Mr. Speaker, we talk about Agric and we also talk about the contribution of the donor agencies. They are doing a lot to support the government, and I'll commend them on this day that we are commending, or we are saluting the farmers, that they should keep the collaboration with government in making sure that we get our food sufficiency, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you talk about what government is doing for the agric sector and the intention for the sector to be sustainable, it has found full expression in the 2023 budget, or the budget statement, Mr. Speaker. If you look at the modernization side of agriculture, I think that is the only way we can expand the food output to make Ghana food production sustainable. Mr. Speaker, we can also talk about modernization, bringing in the irrigation programs that will also support farmers to produce all year round. So, Speaker, if you take cocoa production, for instance, if cocoa receives enough water, production throughout the year has been researched to be possible, Mr. Speaker. If you visit some of the cocoa producing areas where irrigation program has been piloted, Mr. Speaker, you see the yield has increased in many folds. Mr. Speaker, if you talk about mechanization of agriculture, and we think of what was happening years back, where we're using the rudimentary tools to produce food for the community, Mr. Speaker, we can talk more about what the farmer has gone through till today. Honorable, my colleague, Honorable who mentioned early 80s when we had difficulty. I remember 1983. If you pick the performance of farmers from that time till today, we can say they duly need commendation. If you talk about their toys, their contribution to the GDP, even job creation, Mr. Speaker, they deserve to be commended. And on this note, Mr. Speaker, I want to implore the corporate Ghana and all donor agencies and everybody here in this house to do our bit in supporting agriculture, especially our farmers. Mr. Speaker, other agencies are doing very well in supplying in making sure that we sustain food production in Ghana. If you look at what is happening at our backyards, especially around the areas where we have galamsey and other things, Mr. Speaker, it is incumbent upon every Ghanaian to make sure that we stop some of these activities, cooperate with government, the steps that are being taken to curb galamsey, for instance, in order to secure everything. I implore everybody here in the House to join me celebrate the farmers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement.
Yeah. Honourable members, I will just, on behalf of the House and staff, convey our appreciation and satisfaction with the sacrifice and hard work of our farmers and fishers as we join the nation led by the President in celebrating these patriotic farmers and fishers. I will be engaging leadership for us to move away from only celebrations in words to that of indeed. We should be able to add value to what His Excellency the President does on that day by also creating some opportunities for farmers to get closer to Parliament, to get a few things from us, and to know how we feel about the sacrifices they make in keeping us alive. It's with this, once again, I send our deepest and heartfelt appreciation and congratulations to our farmers. With this, we end the time for statement for today and will allow the Minister to go to continue with the preparations for the celebration of the day. Thank you, Minister, for coming. I hope we will now move on straight away to public business. And at the commencement of public business, we will continue with the debate itemized as motion number 9 at page 7 of the order paper. The motion that was moved on Thursday, 24 February 2022 by the Honourable Minister for Finance, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta. I have not received the list from leaders, so who should start? As Majority Leader.
Yesterday we indicated to begin with trade and industry today. Trade and industry, communications, energy, and then roads and transport.
So I await the list of names from the majority side. I have So, Majority Leader, please, let's get your list. Whilst we await the list from the majority, we'll start with what we have from the minority side, and we'll start with Honorable Kwame Abuja, who is a ranking member and therefore entitled to 15 minutes. Yes, Honorable Member, I know you are very time conscious. I can see you are setting your time.
Right Honorable Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to contribute to motion number 9 as moved yesterday and the debate started yesterday. Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank colleagues who have made various contributions towards this motion so far. Mr. Speaker, this budget must give all of us serious concern as it will affect the way we live our lives. So far, Mr. Speaker, economic situations in the country has already started altering our lives. For the poorer, Mr. Speaker, today, perhaps if you have 100 Ghana cedis in your pocket, the value of that money is probably 50 cedis. Because what you could buy with that 100 cedis a year ago, that 100 cedis can only buy half of what you bought 1 year ago. The effect of this budget is basically to take steps to correct the challenges we have. But Mr. Speaker, before it gets better, it's going to get worse according to this budget. Why do I say this, Mr. Speaker? This budget sought to bring on revenue measures. That means that we have to pay more taxes. And sadly, if I look at the expenditure section, Mr. Speaker, I am not convinced that the government intends to collect all these monies and apply them in ways that would actually address the situation in which we are. Mr. Speaker, members of Parliament, including myself, must begin to reflect on decisions we took in support of the Finance Minister in the past. Mr. Speaker, I will zero into one section only. Mr. Speaker, I turn my attention to page 190, Appendix B, 3B of the budget. Mr. Speaker, in that section, Mr. Speaker, you will realize that, for instance, Ghanaians, my constituents, are going to contribute to an amount of 4.6 billion to be collected as NHIS. The constituents, including those at Swami, will contribute to another 4.6 billion to be collected as part of GET Fund. Constituents from Tamale West will be part of the contribution of 2.5 billion Ghana cedi towards the road fund. But Mr. Speaker, turn to the same page, the next page, Appendix 3C. You will realize that, Mr. Speaker, while the Finance Minister takes these monies, he is only going to spend 2.5 billion on NHIS. The Finance Minister will only spend 1.8 billion of the 4.6 billion he is going to collect on GET Fund. On GET Fund, he is going to spend only 1 billion out of the 2.5 billion he is going to collect on road project. Mr. Speaker, the question I ask members of Parliament is this: are you comfortable when your constituents pay these monies, which are meant to improve roads, improve healthcare, and improve education, and not even half of this money is spent on these things? Mr. Speaker, this is why I say we should question ourselves as to whether what we are doing in support of the Finance Minister sometimes is in line with the vision of our constituents. Mr. Speaker, I believe that the issue of capping of these funds must concern all members of Parliament. I don't think we should continue to support the Finance Minister to cap these critical funds. Mr. Speaker, let me give you an example. Today, maybe if you go to the road ministry, you will see works done by patriotic Ghanaian contractors, which they have funded through loans in the tune of maybe 12 billion Ghana cedi. Mr. Speaker, these monies are sitting on the books of the road ministry. They are not paid. Mr. Speaker, do you know what will happen? By the time these monies are paid, about 40% of this money will be just due to interest on delayed payment. It is not a value to the state, it's not value to the government, and it's not value to the contractor. Because we took monies through road fund and not use the money for the road works, Mr. Speaker. That is why I'm saying that maybe this House must take a decision that no more capping of any statutory fund. If the Minister of Finance wants money for agric, let him bring an appropriate law to generate revenue to do agric. Don't take money for health and then go and use it to do planting for food.
because that is actually not the reason my constituent paid this money. Mr. Speaker, the cost of living in this country is very high currently. The government have put in measures through different forms to improve, for instance, transportation. I am very happy our colleague, the railway minister, is here. Indeed, some of the loans approved in this house, Mr. Speaker, we can see the fruits of those works. The Mpakadan Temamoto railway project is ongoing. Some in the western region are ongoing. But Mr. Speaker, we also approved a facility in this house for the construction of Buankra integrated terminal. Mr. Speaker, without a dedicated railway from Tema to Buankra, that project, even if completed tomorrow, will not give us any value. Mr. Speaker, we must make the decision to find out how we are going to build a railway from Tema to Mpakadan. Otherwise, all the fanfare, shortcutting, side visiting, Mr. Speaker, would amount to nothing. Even if we complete the Tema Mpakadan railway tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, it will be of no value, because we needed to find a way of building a terminal that would transport those goods from there elsewhere in the country. Mr. Speaker, when we speak, as we speak, is there any project like that? There's no project like that, Mr. Speaker. That is why I said we must examine some of the decisions we've taken in the past, so we don't repeat those decisions from now onwards, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to transport, the cost of transportation is very high. Maybe, Mr. Speaker, this is the time for us to revisit BRT. This House approved some loans in the past for the establishment of the BRT. Mr. Speaker, if you go to Cote d'Ivoire, BRT works perfectly. In fact, every year they replace or add more buses to their buses, because public transport actually is what you can use to mitigate high cost of transportation in cities. But if your public transport system is not fit for purpose, what can you do? So everybody is still trying to buy expensive fuel. But imagine if you had BRT working the way it should be. I am sure that government could just activate a way. Mr. Speaker, every country that operates BRT, it is subsidized. Our BRT is not subsidized. Metromass is not even able to break even. They are not even to raise enough money to even buy fuel. How can this be sustainable, Mr. Speaker? Maybe we should look at what we've done with STC, where STC today is capable of not coming back to this house again, but able to buy their own buses, pay staff, and then have a decent transport system. Maybe that is what we should do. Mr. Speaker, I'm also hearing that the aviation ministry, which is now under transport, is considering looking at a situation where the amount of money passengers pay on domestic airline tickets should be reviewed upward. Mr. Speaker, indeed, currently, when you take a flight from Accra to Kumasi, you are probably going to pay only 5 cedis. The populist behavior of the opponent opposite even actually suspended the collection of these 5 cedis, Mr. Speaker. So people take this flight and pay nothing. So if they wanted to have a look, take a look at it, Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't oppose it. But let's look at the numbers. Let's interrogate the numbers. And this money should not be collected and given to Ghana Airport Company. And the following day, all they do is to take a big loan and collateralize it for the next 30 years, which is all of them do. Road fund, debt fund, NHIs. If we're going to do this, Mr. Speaker, we should ring-fence these monies that they go into exactly what the Ghana Airport Company will do to improve aviation in the country. So we can look at this. Mr. Speaker, I have a very sad story when it comes to road maintenance in this country. Mr. Speaker, I have here a document produced by the Minister of Minister of Roads and Highways. Let me give you this data, Mr. Speaker. In 2017, 40,400 kilometers of roads undergone routine maintenance. Routine maintenance is the roadside cutting, the reshaping that they do on the roads that are in our villages. That is 40,000 in 2017. In 2018, that reduced to 30,691. In 2019, that reduced to 27,410. In 2020, that reduced to 25,496. In 2021, that reduced to 25,048. Mr. Speaker, year on year, we are spending less on maintenance of on our road. Mr. Speaker, the temptation to say I've done a new road so that people will say how many kilometers you have done is leading us into a situation where it's just like having children. Instead of looking after them, you ignore them and keep having more children. That is why many of the roads are so in a deplorable state. We are not spending enough on maintenance of our road because perhaps politically people think if you maintain a certain road, it's not a new road. Mr. Speaker, New roads also would require maintenance just after a year after construction. So, Mr. Speaker, I think the road minister must pay attention to this. On page 40, paragraph 462, we welcome the decision by the road minister to bring back the road tolls. We take no pride in saying we told you so, Mr. Speaker. It was populist, it was unnecessary, we told you, and they were there shouting, oh, we are going to do it because we have e-levy. Today, we want to bring the road toll. But, Mr. Speaker, some members of the party that belong to the other side had the courage to tell you that if you want a road toll, you should go and collect it yourself. Today, they have brought a law here to say they are bringing it back. Mr. Speaker, on principle, we supported it that it should remain that time. We are still supporting it that they should bring it back. But there will be no blank checks. If you bring the road toll back, all the accruals must go into road maintenance. Otherwise, we are not going to support you. That is why we say decap the road fund. So, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of the motorway, they said, we sat here and said time and again that what the minister was calling a contract between the Ghana government and Motor Angels is not a fit for purpose contract. You cannot sign a contract with a foreign company without coming to this house. Article 1781 and 5 doesn't allow you to do that. Mr. Speaker, we welcome the decision of the road minister to come back to the house with an appropriate package that will build the Accra motorway. When we look at that package and it's fit for purpose, Mr. Speaker, we would support that. Mr. Speaker, lastly, on the issue of indebtedness, Mr. Speaker, Ghanaian contractors, patriotic citizens are in serious problem. As we read this budget, there is no indication as to how we are going to pay the 12 billion or so that we owe Ghanaian contractors. Some of them are in this room. Some of them are relatives. Some of them are citizens of this country. Some of them have sold their houses. They have collateralized everything. Mr. Speaker, we must find a way of helping the government to pay these contractors. And the last one, Mr. Speaker, if I look at this, Mr. Speaker, the Cocoa Roads alone have awarded projects almost 14.5 billion Ghana cedi. This side of the house queried why President Mahama should award Cocoa Roads up to 5 billion. Today, you've got almost 15 billion. And where are you going to pay for this, Mr. Speaker? How are you going to pay for this? And to make it worse, we spent some money to do audit into the Cocoa Roads in this country. Mr. Speaker, the Greek minister just left here. On several occasions, Mr. Speaker, he said he laid the report of the Cocoa Roads in this house. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you on authority, Speakership has told me they can't find that report. So we are asking you, Mr. Speaker, direct the Greek minister to provide the report on the Cocoa Road report so that we can peruse it. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, we are ready to support government to improve our roads, aviation, railway, everything. But this time round, no blank checks. We are going to scrutinize everything, decap the road fund and other things. Then we can support you to make our roads safer, our air safer, and our railway, everything better. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, he's a ranking member, so he has some more minutes because it's ended at 12:30. 12 minutes, 30 seconds. We will now listen to Honorable Alex Tete. Honorable Alex Tete.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the motion moved by Honorable Kujo on the budget statement ably presented by the Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I listened carefully yesterday about the impression created by Honorable Adongo that the Magua that we have confidence in him, they normally score a goal for the opponent.
Honorable Member, the First Deputy Speaker to take the chair.
Yes, Honorable, you may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the motion before the House. Mr. Speaker, yesterday I listened carefully to the debates or the speech made by Honorable Adongo on Magua that he nominated to the Vice President. Mr. Speaker, we all know that The whole world is facing with the economic crisis. And it is better for us to maintain Maguire, that we will be able to have his confidence back rather than to bring a striker like Romelu Lukaku, which Chelsea sold to Inter Milan, and later have a confidence that Lukaku can able to actually help them in their striking force, not knowing that Lukaku is the worst striker in the whole world. And we are not ready to bring such type of striker into the country again. We are here, Mr. Speaker, as a nation where the striker that the opponents are talking about the former president, is not able to pay the teachers that they actually hired for them to taught for 24 months, but only 3 months have been paid. This debt was created by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. That's normally called legacy debt. Mr. Speaker, we are in this country when the so-called striker is not able to provide 24 hours electricity to the Ghanaians. Now the Maguire that cannot defend the Manchester is able to provide this particular land to light for the Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, in this country, Article 36, Clause 2C actually provided how the distribution of infrastructure should be made in this country. And I can challenge both sides of the House, or the members of Parliament from both sides of the House, that since Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, through the able Minister of Roads and Highways, assumed office, has developed unprecedented roads construction in this country. And Mr. Speaker, our road network from 2017 to 2022, as I speak, stands at 94,203 kilometers. And Mr. Speaker, this figure has actually been confirmed by the ministry and the chief director when we went to Adan on a workshop. And actually a question was actually posed to the chief director to actually confirm this particular road network. And Mr. Speaker, when we talk of the road construction, every constituency in this country has benefited from the road construction, whether paved or unpaved. And Mr. Speaker, in our fourth republic, no government has been able to construct a number of bridges and interchanges like Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo through the Minister of Road. And Mr. Speaker, these roads are not in the Green Book. It's actually physical roads that you can actually attest to it. Mr. Speaker, last week, we actually paid a visit to some of the road sites, especially Ofankwan and Salon Road. And in doing our visit, the members from the other side actually attest to it that the road contractor, the local road contractor called Monopoma, is doing an extremely work on this particular section of them. Mr. Speaker, like I said, this is not a Green Book road. It's a physical road that we can attest to it. Mr. Speaker, we pay a visit to Obechebi Lamte Circle, the interchange that the government is constructed, and work is at about 75+% in completion. Mr. Speaker, Nungwa-Bara interchange is ongoing. Mr. Speaker, Minister of Roads and Highways has actually distributed the road network fairly into all the regions. And Mr. Speaker, with your permission, let me mention some of the roads that has actually been undertaken in the road sector. So we are contemporary to Serioso, and my senior brother, Dr. Kafui, can attest to it that this road has been actually constructed by our government. And Mr. Speaker, Asempa near to Osepojo Krum Road is being constructed by Ramandi through Ghana Cocoa Board. Mr. Speaker, the distribution of these road networks actually have, each region has actually benefited.
There's too much noise in the chamber.
Mr. Speaker, please, let me correct this impression created by my ranking member that government is reintroducing the road to into Ghana again. Mr. Speaker, look at page 100 and Mr. Speaker, page 140 of the budget statement, paragraph 710. Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I read. Mr. Speaker, government is pursuing a strategic decision to procure the 27.7 kilometers of the Accra-Tema motorway and extension project through the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. A PPA concessional agreement backed by an appropriate toll arrangement will be presented to Parliament for approval to facilitate its execution. Mr. Speaker, I can't actually tell my friends that it is not the way that he actually presented that the government is interested. It is a PPA arrangement, and I believe that when this particular bill comes to Parliament, we will actually pass it and make sure that the Minister of Roads and Highways actually execute this particular project. Mr. Speaker, let me also mention some of the roads investments that have been made. And specifically, Mr. Speaker, if you look at as what? Mr. Speaker, let me mention some of the roads in the various regions. The asphalt lane work that has been done. Osu, Laboni, Airport Residential Area, Tesano, Medina, Tema, Ayawasu, Bawi, English Amafu, Bema Camp, and Adenta. Mr. Speaker, if you come to the eastern region, Anyinam, Chebi, Suhun, Agropon, Akimoda, Mr. Speaker, if you come to northeast, Nairugu, Walewale, Gabaga, Mr. Speaker, if you come to western, we can talk of Apramdo, we can talk of, Mr. Speaker, if you come to Ashanti region, Jobin, Askore, Swami, Malcolm, Afijase, Asokore, Swami runabout, airport runabout. Mr. Speaker, let me also mention that the realization of Asimprasu Road is ongoing. And Mr. Speaker, the township of Asimfosu, we all know the traffic situation there. Government is doing its best to actually ease the traffic on that particular one. Mr. Speaker, construction is ongoing in Techiman, Akumada, and Akrankwanta Takwa roads. Mr. Speaker, all these roads, my friends can attest to it. That is not a green book road, but it is actually a physical work that is undergoing in this particular sector. Mr. Speaker, let me tell you that, Mr. Speaker, one of the best things that the government has done is the construction of the various interchanges, which Takrade is one of the beneficiary regions. Mr. Speaker, my friends from the other side actually attest to the fact that the government of Nana Rodankwa, through the Minister of Roads and its agencies, has actually done unprecedented work in the road sector. And Mr. Speaker, let me also come to the railway sector. Mr. Speaker, the government of Nana Rodankwa Akufo-Addo, through the Minister of Railway, has actually done well. And my friend, the ranking member, has actually alluded to the fact that the approval that the Parliament has given to the Railway Ministry, they have used the money and it's the benefit of this particular nation. Mr. Speaker, some of the railway that government has undertook is the Mpakadam that has been mentioned. The Kojo Krom to Takwa railway is being constructed. Manso to Takwa is being constructed. Mr. Speaker, with all these investments in the railway sector, it will open up the railway and more jobs will be created. Mr. Speaker, in other words, let me assure my friends from the other hand that we all know that the country is facing a lot of challenges. But like I said from the beginning, it is better for us to maintain our defender Magua to actually boast his confidence to pay or actually give an education to our children and give access to our contemporary children to actually access education, rather than to bring a striker which will not be able to score a goal and already throw the opportunity outside the box. Mr. Speaker, let me also say that the confidence that the Ghanaians has in Nana Rodankwa Akufo-Addo-led government is still there. The only thing is that we need to work hard. And as a Ghanaians, we should change our attitude towards work. Mr. Speaker,
As Parliament, as executives, and all Ghanaians, we must change our attitude towards government work. And in doing so, Mr. Speaker, I believe that the country will be able to restore back to economic growth and stability. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Honorable Isaac James.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to the motion on the floor in respect of the budget read here on the 24th of November 2022. Mr. Speaker, listening to my colleague, he was talking about and touting the extent of roads that have been constructed by Nana Akufo-Addo, and we have been going front and back on this one and trying to set the record straight. Indeed, it's been claimed that Nana Akufo-Addo's tenure has witnessed the best road construction ever since independence. But we had the opportunity to talk about that, and indeed the records in the ministry do not prove to that extent. Mr. Speaker, the road sector medium-term development plan, page 50, clearly indicates the extent of the road network that we have in this country. Mr. Speaker, I get worried and I get concerned about the way the ministry is managing our road assets. Indeed, we spend so much money in establishing roads and constructing roads and bridges, but it is important that we have the maintenance culture with us and indeed maintain these roads. One of the reasons, and I think critical one, that the road fund was set up is to maintain our growth assets. Indeed, the road industry is capital intensive, and any road that is constructed must be maintained. Mr. Speaker, the road sector depends on three key indicators. We have the total road network size, the road condition mix, that is fair and good and poor, and the proportion of roads maintained and rehabilitated. Basically, what this means is that irrespective of the funds or irrespective of the investment you make in the industry, if you don't maintain them, it will virtually go bad. Mr. Speaker, what we are hearing here, my brother, is talking about we've constructed this road, we've constructed that road. It is good to construct all those roads. But the point is that, are we maintaining them? Records in the ministry indicate that our performance, this administration's performance in road maintenance, has been very unsatisfactory. Now, I talk it to reinforce what my ranking said. Mr. Speaker, by 2016, when we left office, the state of our road condition mix, the road condition mix indeed talks about the good, the fair, and the poor. 2016, and as at 2016, the record that we left is still existing. What we have now, the 94,202, is just projections. It has not been validated. And we are waiting for that record to be validated. Records indicate that the consultants still ongoing, trying to do their search to make sure that the 94,000 projection is validated. Until it is done, we have a record that what we have now is the 78,402 kilometers that was bequeathed to this administration by the Mahama administration. Mr. Speaker, why do I say that I'm concerned, or we are concerned about the road sector maintenance? Feeder roads has been cited by the medium-term development plan program for agenda for jobs, that among the areas that have been challenged so heavily is the feeder road area. I'm talking about infrastructure. So it means that we need to spend time on feeder roads. We need to spend time maintaining our roads going forward, but that has not been done. I'm concerned, Mr. Speaker, if you go to the budget, and I want to read, by your permission, 731, Mr. Speaker, 713, sorry. Anyway, so that indicates, tells us the budget allocation for road maintenance. But it's surprising that there is no allocation for road maintenance in the budget. It is a tradition and a ritual that every year there's a planned projection for roads in terms of routine maintenance and periodic maintenance. for the various agencies, urban roads, feeder roads, and highways. Unfortunately, in this budget, there is no planned program of works for the ministry, and that tells us that road maintenance has been shelved, and that is not too good enough. The point is that we have feeder roads, which is the main, it forms about 50%, over 50% of the total road network in this country. And if you see the allocations of funds going to feeder roads, it's very, very, very small. And therefore, we want to believe that it's rather deliberate, because the attention now has all been diverted towards the flyovers and all those urban roads and trunk roads. That is fine. But for the feeder roads, we need to ensure that the feeder roads has also been managed accordingly. Mr. Speaker, as I said I was going to concentrate on feeder roads. The releases to the feeder roads for maintenance has not been satisfactory, and indeed it's very disheartening. The government has always been, directing resources into the urban roads and highways, which is not satisfactory, leaving the maintenance of feeder roads, in a very bad state. The concern is that when feeder roads has been targeted as an area that has been challenged, it means that the attention must be given to this sector in terms of funds raising and all those. Feeder roads is critical, and therefore road fund that we have must channel a lot of resources into this area, and that is not happening. Mr. Speaker, what is the state of road funds? Road fund, as was indicated by my ranking, road fund has since 2017 not conducted the audited and published the audited report. What is the reason for this? We need to know. Road fund, since 2016, where we reviewed the act, and the fund had opportunity to go for loans and so on, we do not know how much road fund has accrued since 2017 to 2021. So the question is that how much has road fund accrued over the period, and how much has been delivered or released to urban roads, Ghana Housing Authority, basically for the maintenance of our roads. Mr. Speaker, lift service has always been given to maintenance, as we did say. So the question now we ask is that what is the planned network for maintenance for preceding year? We don't have any in the budget. There is no portion for planned maintenance for feeder roads, urban roads, and highways. We don't have them. And that is why I think that it is something that the government must, the ministry should ensure that this is done and done properly. The other one, Mr. Speaker, is that why has the ministry, and we did say, why has the ministry not been able to publish the road fund audited account since 2017 to date? We need answers to this as well. The government has always been, the ministry has always been concerned about growth in the urban centers and roads on trunk roads, leaving feeder roads, and we think that must be looked into. Mr. Speaker, I think that for this budget, the ministry should come again in providing details in the budget, allocating resources, allocate planned programs for the various agencies, urban roads, feeder roads, and highways. As it stands now, this is the first time that the budget is submitted where we don't have any planned action for works on maintenance for the three agencies, urban roads, feeder roads, and highways. And I think that if this is the situation, then it is very, very unfortunate. Mr. Speaker, in 2022, the budget statement, paragraph 871, provided for routine maintenance plan of 16,000 kilometers for feeder roads, but at the end of the day, the resultant effect, or what we realized, was 1,811 kilometers that was achieved. So leaving a variance of over 14,000. So you budget that in 2022, you are going to do routine maintenance for feeder roads of 16,000. Now, at the end of the day, what is in the budget, and as I did say, paragraph 871, provides that 8,811 kilometers was achieved, and that is not good enough. Mr. Speaker, Ghana Housing Authority, for instance, did plan that they were going to construct 25,000 in terms of routine maintenance. They were going to construct 25,000 kilometers. But at the end of the day, they ended up performing 5,533 kilometers, leaving a variance of 19,467 kilometers. All come together, point to the fact that this administration, this ministry has been so irresponsible in maintaining and giving resources for maintaining of our roads. If you construct all these new roads, as you are saying, you construct them, but records show that the ministry consistently since 2017 has not been able to provide any meaningful impact on road maintenance going forward. Mr. Speaker, routine maintenance is basically grading, vegetation control, spot improvement, and so on. So if we can't provide resources when we have enough in the road fund kitty to the ministry's particular feeder roads for the routine maintenance and preventive maintenance, then where are we heading towards? So I think that the ministry must come again. What we expect to see or expect to know is that they should fix the budget plan on maintenance for feeder roads, urban roads, and highways. Mr. Speaker, I am so impressed. I'm so impressed by the extent of, the elaboration of my colleague. Oh, we've consulted these roads, we've consulted that roads. But at the end of the day, if you are not able to demonstrate that even what you came to meet, you've been able to maintain them, then all these things are just mere talks. And we think that all these projects that the government has touched, we haven't seen any meaningful, what they call conclusion to them, except for touching everything, saying we do this, and we do that. Mr. Speaker, in the budget we have for road fund, we know that road fund, at the end of the year, we have about 2 billion accruing to the kitty. But unfortunately, in 2023, the budget allocation for the road fund is 1,439,520 cedis. But in 2022, there was an allocation of 1,418,309,530 in Ghana cedis, and reference in Appendix 2C, page 187 of the 2022 budget, and Appendix 3C, page 191 of the 2023 budget. All these things point to the fact that we have not been taking attention and mining the road fund. And so the question that I come back to us again is that why has the ministry not been able to publish, and we demand that this thing is done, because it's a legal requirement. Now every year we publish road fund audited accounts, and this has not been done.
Member, and kindly give me a minute. I'm confused as to how much time. I thought it was that ranking members had 20, chairman and ranking had 20.
After 30 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, the member who seconded the motion yesterday had 20 minutes, and the ranking member then came 20 minutes. The chairman and ranking members have 15 minutes. All others, of course, chairman, ranking members, and ministers have 15 minutes. All others have 10 minutes. So I noticed that he has 10 minutes. He has exceeded 10 minutes. I thought you were giving him extra time, but it's
Indeed, he has. I thought he had 15.
Already exceeded his time.
No. Very well. Please make your concluding statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in concluding, I want to state that the budget does not provide any information, any details on road maintenance for the various agencies, urban roads, feeder roads, and highways, as has been the norm in the ministry. And I read as paragraph 713. Thank you for this opportunity.
Honorable Hassan Tampoli.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to contribute to the debate. The motion ably moved by the Honorable Minister for Finance. Mr. Speaker, I have listened to the ranking member, a very good friend, a very loquacious member of Parliament for Adaklu, speak on this matter. And on this occasion, Mr. Speaker, I think he was not too seized with the facts. And I believe some facts were caught on his blind side. Mr. Speaker, I will respond to some of the issues that he raised shortly. But with reference to paragraph 739 to paragraph 749, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Transport, in terms of performance and outlook, has commenced and almost completed the construction of 12-number fish landing sites. And I was hoping that this would have caught his attention. We have done so in Axim, Dixkov, in the western region, and in the central region we have Mori, Manford, Winneba, Elmina, Senyabriku, Gomuafete. Greater Accra we have Teshi, Osu, Jamestown, and in the Volta region we have Keta. Mr. Speaker, all these are at very, very advanced stages of completion. And I was hoping that this would have caught the eye of the Honorable Ranking Member. Now, Mr. Speaker, the best part of this job is that it comes with complementary projects. And these complementary projects include classroom blocks, police station, toilet facilities. It includes fish smoking sites. It includes even health centers, for instance, like the one at Asedame in the Volta region, Keta to be precise. So, Mr. Speaker, these are matters that I believe, ought to be agitating the minds of the Honorable Ranking Member as he sees the positive side of what is contained in these budgets. Mr. Speaker, the issues that the Honorable Ranking Member raised regarding, first of all, the BRT system in Ghana. In his view, we don't have a BRT system. Again, I said he got it wrong because it's a matter of nomenclature. He calls it BRT system, we call it quality bus service. And Mr. Speaker, we have the Ayalolo bus services and they are on the road. And it would be very difficult for me not to understand how the Honorable colleague will miss out on this and then rather dwell on nomenclature that he wants to see BRT. So, Mr. Speaker, if he wants to see BRT the way that he sees it in La Côte d'Ivoire, we are going to do one in Kumasi very soon. And this afternoon, we are having a meeting, a kick-off meeting to discuss the ways of funding this particular BRT system under the World Bank project. And Mr. Speaker, we call it the Kumasi Urban Mobility Project, KUMAP. The very good people of Kumasi will be happy to see this project come into fruition. Mr. Speaker, again, he mentioned the issue of Buankra, and he lamented how we do not have a railway line from Tema Port all the way to Buankra. In effect, whatever is constructed in Buankra would be of no use. Again, you got it wrong because we are looking at Eastern Railway line, but we are looking at the Western Railway line. It has come all the way. I believe the Honorable Minister for Railway Development will speak to this matter in great detail. But what we have done, we have started the railway line from Takrade to Christiahuni Valley. And that is where you are going to get the loop all the way to Buankra. So again, you got it wrong. Mr. Speaker, he again was lamenting about what's the name? Metro Mass Transit buses. Only recently, outside here, President of the Republic commissioned 45 buses for the Metro Mass Transit system. We are waiting for the completion of another 55, bringing the total number to 100 buses. Now, how could you have missed all these, pieces of information and, dwell on the fact that these matters are not there and they are indeed there? 45 buses were commissioned here, right here at the park. So, Mr. Speaker, I believe very strongly that the Honorable Member for Adaklu and Ranking Member, if he averts his mind to what we have on the ground, he would have said something differently. Again, he goes to
Airport Passenger Service Charges, APSC, for the Ghana Airport Company Limited. Mr. Speaker, it used to be 1 cedi in 2010. Then it moved to 5 cedis in 2013. Since 2013, there hasn't been any upward review of the APSC. Now, 5 cedi in 2013 cannot be the same as 5 cedis today. Yeah. So the value of 5 cedis has completely eroded. And so when we come with a proposal for the review of the APSC, it is something that has to be supported because since 2013, Mr. Speaker, we have had Terminal 3. We have had the whole airport. We have had Phase 2 of the Tamale International Airport. We have had Phase 2 and Phase 3 of the Kumasi International Airport. We have had Sunyani Airport, and we are also expanding the apron, northern apron of the Kotoka International Airport. Mr. Speaker, all these monies are supposed to be coming from these same 5 cedis that we take from the domestic passenger charges. We did so in 2013. We did $150 for ECOWAS, $200 for economy class, and I believe $250 for business class passengers. Whilst we maintain the domestic one at 5 Ghana cedis. Now, if we were to do $5 at the time, I believe the value will still be relevant and not be eroded the way that it has been eroded. So, Mr. Speaker, there are justifiable reasons why we should be able to do a review. And this parliament is not a rubber stamp parliament. We shall come with proposal, we shall defend the proposal, and we shall let you understand. Just like you saw it when we went to the Kumasi and the Tamale International Airport. There's value for money. We have to maintain these airports. Whole airport, for instance, as we speak, even though it's not running, it's not, we don't have flights going to the airport, but we still have to maintain the infrastructure, the cooling system. We have to pay the workers and so on and so forth. But we are not generating 1 Ghana cedis from that particular airport. So, Mr. Speaker, there is absolute need for us to be able to get this APSC reviewed further upwards, for us to be able to recoup and then cover costs of operations, especially for the new international airports that we have in Kumasi and in Tamale. Mr. Speaker, the justification for the airports in Kumasi and Tamale, and in Tamale, I want to say that it is mainly to enhance port capacity. So, for instance, the runway in Tamale can accommodate any type of aircraft that you have in the world, so that we'll be able to carry as much cargo of, export products as possible. So that the airport is also supposed to provide the venue for us to be able to lift pilgrims from Ghana to Saudi Arabia. We have done so twice in 2021 and in 2022. Now, all these things must be paid for. Who must pay for them? Mr. Speaker, we have Phase 3 of the Tamale International Airport, which includes an expansion of the apron. It includes the construction of the new air traffic control tower. It includes meters and greeters. It also includes a construction of a new office for the airport company and the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. So, Mr. Speaker, there is more and more than justification for the increase in the APSC, as I've mentioned prior. So, Mr. Speaker, I believe very strongly that the points that have been raised by my honorable colleague, especially regarding the intermodal connection from the Tema Port to Mpaka Dam, is very, very genuine. But he must also recognize that we have started the construction of a terminal at in the Savannah region. We have 1 minute. We have started construction of a terminal, Debre, in the Savannah region. Now that will already serve the purpose. So we'll move the cargo, the containers from the Tema Port to Mpaka Dam, and then we offload them onto the barges
all the way to Mpaka Dam, and we move them to the landlocked countries, Burkina Faso, Niger, and then Mali. So, Mr. Speaker, I would urge my honorable colleague to come again by looking at the positive sides of these budgets and not dwell on areas that he thinks we haven't done well. This is a positive budget, and he must support it. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable
Yes,
Amma Kofibwa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the budget statement and the economic policy of government for the financial year 2023. Mr. Speaker, I focus on trade and industry and have a few energy issues to bring up in this budget. Mr. Speaker, we debate this budget with the following hurdles for businesses and industry as we speak today. We have high interest rates, depreciation, the year-to-date depreciation against the US dollar. My mic. Mr. Speaker, inflation in October was 40.4%, up from 12.6% at the end of December 2021. Mr. Speaker, there's also high interest rates. The 91 T-bill, Mr. Speaker, rate now is 32.5%, compared to 12.6% at the end of December 2021. Mr. Speaker, these are all hurdles for businesses and for manufacturing. Mr. Speaker, there's also low growth prospect. 2022 growth outlook of 3.6 is projected to decline to 2.6% by 2023. The real sector of the Ghanaian economy is experiencing slow growth, Mr. Speaker, as we all know. The agri sector that grew by 8.9% in 2021 is expected to grow by the end of this year to 4.9%. The service industry that grew at 0.8 in 2021 will grow by 5.4 at the end of this year. Mr. Speaker, these are the stark realities we face even as we deal with this budget. The key sectors of this economy, real estate, finance, insurance, health, and the social sector, are all projected to decline. Mr. Speaker, so it is in this context that we look at the approach and the steps that government is taking to address these challenges to ensure that the manufacturing sector will be able to rise from this decline, to ensure that we can boost industry, to ensure that small businesses can survive. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, what do we see in this budget? What we see is these 24 tax handles that was enumerated. And every tax handle in this budget is going to basically cripple businesses. It's going to make it difficult for businesses not only to create jobs, but to deal with the fundamental problems we have, reduce our import bill. So, Speaker, what are the things that government must do instead of addressing what is important that every government does in these circumstances, which is basically reducing taxes, giving waivers and reliefs? This government won't do that. What we've done here, as I've said, is to increase more taxes. We know of the VAT, 2.5%. We have even extended the e-levy to cover the poorest of the poor, Mr. Speaker. But what is worrying is the double speak, the double talk. If this government says sleep, you need to wake up. And from 2027, Mr. Speaker, every team that has been chosen for this budget, we've turned it the opposite. Mr. Speaker, we started off in 2017, where the government said that the budget was intended to basically sow the seeds for growth and jobs. What happened was that there was no growth and there was no jobs. We came to 2028, the budget was intended to put Ghanaians back to work. It put Ghanaians out of work. 2019, that budget was supposed to ensure that there's prosperity and jobs. It brought joblessness and hopelessness. Mr. Speaker, it continued on to 2021. The government had come out with a budget that said it was intended to bring economic revitalization through completion, consolidation, continuity. Mr. Speaker, do you know what it brought? It brought coronavirus and more taxes. Mr. Speaker, in 2022, the budget was intended to build a sustainable entrepreneurial nation. Fiscal consolidation, Mr. Speaker, and job creation. What it meant was that it was yield levy, and quite frankly, the mess we find ourselves in. Please, I've taken that off. It was not corona. I meant that year, what we dealt with was coronavirus. I didn't say the government broke. I said that year, that's what we dealt with. Mr. Speaker, the 2023 budget also says that the intention is to restore and sustain macroeconomic stability and resilience through inclusive growth and value addition. Mr. Speaker, from everything that I've said, that's not what this budget is intended to do. This budget is going to weaken the manufacturing sector. This budget is going to weaken industry. Mr. Speaker, and I don't even know what the Minister of Finance means by saying that all that he has said meant in Cambo. Mr. Speaker, but that's not what I want to dwell on. Let's move on to the government's flagship program. One district, one factory. Mr. Speaker, don't allow him because you did not allow anybody. Mr. Speaker, it is not.
Leader, what is it?
Mr. Speaker, thank you for my respected colleague. On his feet, admitted that in 2017 and 2018, government of taxes, I would want him to cite of the taxes that were introduced by this government in 2017.
Honorable,
he referred to the budget.
Honorable, you are out of order.
Mr. That the government's flagship program, 1D, 1F, has been a monumental failure. Mr. Speaker, and I will show and prove by the statement at the end of my presentation. Mr. Speaker, we all know the history of the 1D, 1F, and nobody should doubt the intention of government when this was started. It was variously established that the 1D, 1F in 2017, 2018, 2019 budget statements was very clear, and this was what was stated in 2019, paragraph 508. Mr. Speaker, the One District, One Factory initiative aims at establishing a factory in every district in Ghana. There was also ample evidence to show that the 1D, 1F was intended alone program separate from the stimulus package. When it became very obvious that the 1D, 1F was really not succeeding, the government then that 1D, 1F and stimulus package are the same thing. Mr. Speaker, today in paragraph 598 of this budget, we are told that a total of 296 One District, One Factory projects are at various stages of development, and that 126 factories are operational. We are not specifically told the name of the factories or the districts where these factories are located. Mr. Speaker, so I ask the question, members of Parliament. Does anybody who has a one district, one factory in your district, please raise your hand.
No, just three of you.
Three. Mr. Speaker, anybody with one district, one factory, raise your hand. We only have one person from the MPP side.
Honorable, are you denying the fact of it, or you're making your comment?
Mr. Speaker, again we are told that a total of 148 companies are under construction. This was in 2022. And then in 2023, that number, instead of those factories under construction being completed, in 2023 budget, we are told that it has reduced to 143. So, Mr. Speaker, what happened to the factories that have been under construction forever? But, Mr. Speaker, I said this because we have to think about how much money we have pumped into this program. To date, we have spent over 1 billion on import duty exemptions on capital goods and raw materials, 2.69 billion on interest subsidy to participating 1G, 1F companies. Mr. Speaker, the question must be asked, what impact has all this money had? Now, if you want to know the scorecard of this, Mr. Speaker, I take you to paragraph 300 and the government's own admission that we are not able to point to one product that this 1D, 1F has really ensured that we are not importing that product into the country. We can't talk about sugar, we can't talk about chicken, we can't talk about even toilet roll, we can't even talk about toothpick. So, Mr. Speaker, what import substitution victory have you won with all these billions that we've pumped into the one district, one factory? This is what the government owes in paragraph 300, Mr. Speaker, and I quote, Mr. Speaker, Ghana's heavy dependence on imports places tremendous pressure on the city. That's creating an unfavorable balance of payment position. In paragraph 303, Mr. Speaker, this is the government. After all this money, after the flagship program, it says, it is estimated that Ghana currently has the capacity to produce locally items that account for about 45% of the value of an annual import. These include rice, fish, sugar, poultry, cement, and pharmaceuticals. To this end, government will target this program for import substitution by supporting the private sector. This is after 7 years. After 7 years, this government is not able to tell us in this budget that the 1E1 factory has cured our heavy dependence on imports. Mr. Speaker, I cannot be wrong when I say that we have failed in this flagship program. And why are we surprised? Because all we did was that we go to factories that were alien and say that put our signboard, one district, one factory. That's why nobody can define one district, one factory here. Mr. Speaker, let's get serious on that. Mr. Speaker, I take you to another important program by government, strategic anchor industries. Mr. Speaker, in paragraph 603 of the budget statement, talks about the government's strategic anchor industries and focuses on Ghana's automobile development. Now, Mr. Speaker, what was worrying for me was that the government was so proud talking about companies featuring prominently, which are all foreign companies, Toyota, Suzuki, Nissan, and Renault. The government even boasted that 3 new brands are coming in 2023. Hyundai, Changan, and Isuzu. We must ask the question. All these brand new cars, the people of Ghana are so impoverished. Who, not even a chief director, who is in a position to buy a brand new car in Ghana? Mr. Speaker, how many Ghanaians can afford a brand new car? And to make it worse, Mr. Speaker, last week we woke up announcement by the Ghana Standard Authority that in 2023 there will be no import of used cars to Ghana. And Mr. Speaker, we quickly, the Trade and Industry Committee invited the Ghana Standard Authority to come and show us the plan. To write to us that, oh, we wrote, but the ministry has told us to rescind the decision. I have the letter here. I have the letter from Ghana Standard. I mean, how? Mr. Speaker, how can a whole institution write that there will be no import of used cars, only to be told by the Abada ministry. We met them yesterday, and they told us that it is a plan, a long-term plan, but we are not there yet. Mr. Speaker, it even gets worse. When we thought we were dealing with this issue, the Bank of Ghana also comes out. There will be no forest for the import of the foreign items. Listed meat, oil. Mr. Speaker, what is the plan? No coordination. Let's get our act together, please. Let's get serious. Mr. Speaker, we must be worried about...
You have 1 minute more, Honorable.
I have what? Oh no, 50 minutes. 50 minutes.
You have done 14 minutes, 26 seconds, and it is still running.
We should be worried about what is in this budget and what is not in this budget. We should be asking the question. We shouldn't be celebrating only companies that are coming to assemble cars. What is the state of Kokompe and what do you call it, Swame and others? How are we building their capacity to really build cars in this country? Mr. Speaker, what is so strange is that this government will talk so much about the garment industry in 2020. Is silent about the garment industry not only in 2022 but in 2023 budget. Mr. Speaker, but this is critical. There's a study that was done by Takrady Technical Institute, Mr. Speaker, and they've outlined the garment industry.
Your time
Mr. Speaker,
kindly wind up.
Flow. This budget, quite frankly, Mr. Speaker, has not helped trade, has not helped the industry, has not helped the manufacturing sector. In fact, it is going to make things worse. This government must be serious about laying the foundation to help our manufacturing sector. But there's nothing in this budget. There's nothing in this budget that is going to really address the issue of heavy dependence on imports. Yes. Nothing.
Honorable Carlos Ahinkwa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this economic recovery budget that has been presented by the Nana Addo Kafui Dogbatse. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, it is very unfortunate that when my colleague on the other side, who's supposed to be my ranking member and who's supposed to know better, will say that a budget produced COVID in 2021. I find it very difficult to understand. I shudder to understand how a colleague such as Mr. Amabua would come up with such an assumption. I don't know where that is coming from, how a budget can produce COVID. But if that's how you see it, we will correct you. Indeed, in all the things that you mentioned, it's unfortunate. You stood up there and asked members around to raise their hands if they have 1D1F in their district or in their constituency or municipality. Mr. Speaker, I like that the maker of that statement himself has one district, one party in his own municipality. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to give you the name of the company. Mr. Speaker, this company is called Fianza Industry Limited, located at Esiama, that produces coconut oil. It is a one district, one party, and you should tell me whether it's a lie. So I want Mr. Speaker to pronounce on his statement, Mr. Speaker, and ask Hansa to capture the lie that he has provided right now to this house, which is a house of records.
There's nothing like that.
Mr. Speaker, on the floor.
That's why you can chew ballot paper.
But who has called you?
It's not true.
It is on record. You can go and check. What you have been?
Honorable, please.
You have been unruly. And I
proceed with your debate. Proceed, Honorable Atman. I'm not giving him the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
you said so many things that people didn't agree with, but we just listened to you. Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful. And you see, some of these actions goes to tell the whole world how we have to deal with some of these situations, and we'll deal with it appropriately as we can. Mr. Speaker, it is noteworthy to mention that from 2017 from 2021, this country has recorded trade surpluses or balance of payment surpluses every year. From 2017 to 2020, apart from up to date, apart from 2021, we have on a yearly basis recorded a surplus in our balance of payment. What is balance of payment? When we put all the cost of our imports together, and we put all the returns that we receive on our exports in one basket, when we marry them, there's a surplus, or there's a positive variance. We have been able to achieve this feat. The years before, Mr. Speaker, was nothing to write home about. Unfortunately, it is difficult for us to understand why we even still suffer this DORA CD fight. But one can understand that a lot of our investment that we have in Ghana, of course, is foreign-based investments, so people would have to return their profits, and so therefore the dollar will not come here for us to use. But however, it is the reason why the President Akufo Addo government has instituted a homegrown program, the 1D1F program, to ensure that you and I manage to at least have a factory in each of our villages to prevent our youth from moving from the village into the urban areas, to ensure import substitution, to produce for export, and of course to also produce for domestic use. Mr. Speaker, if I may recount, from 2009 to 2016, the only time I've heard any noise being made about factories in Ghana here, and emphasis mine, is on Commander Sugar Factory. Only one factory, Mr. Speaker. I have never ever heard, and I repeat, emphasis are mine, that the only time I've heard any noise being made within this period was about Commander Sugar Factory. Today, as I speak to you, Mr. Speaker, we have close to 300 factories under the Akufo Addo government. Mr. Speaker, out of these 296 or so factories, about 126 of them are operational. 143 are in various stages of operation or construction, and 43 are pipeline projects. Let us assume, Mr. Speaker, if since 1992, all the presidents have come to stay on for 8 years, Akufo Addo is the 5th president. If every president was bringing out or churning out 300 factories in Ghana, we'll be having 3,000 or 1,500 companies as of today. Unfortunately, from 2009 to 2016, only Commander Sugar Factory is the only one that we heard of from the people on the other side. And yet, they have the effrontery to speak to us as if we have not done anything in this country. But fortunately for them, those who have 1D1F in their constituencies, those who have 1D1F in their municipalities, their own siblings, their own children are working in these factories. And I want to point out to them that if they provoke us, we'll mention names. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, when some presidents had the opportunity in this Fourth Republic to ensure that they provide work or jobs for the youth, they rather sold the factories or companies that we had in Ghana. From Kwame Nkrumah's time, when factories were in abundance, I would say, in Ghana, a government came into this country and decided to sell everything off. And we can point to the people on the other side as their government that sold these factories off. Today, you come and sit here and you tell us that one factory has done nothing. I find it very difficult to understand. And I can prove to you that because we are embarking on a rigorous educational reform process, because the President Akufo Addo has said that the free SHS has come to stay, it is our business to ensure that we have factories at the other side of the divide to absorb all these children who are coming out or being churned out of the One District, One Country or the Free SHS program. Let's speak up. As we speak today, the One District, One Country program has absorbed more than 160,000 people. So let me ask you, if there was no One District, One Factory, how could 160,000 people be employed out of the employable brackets in Ghana? This is contained in the budget. And I'm telling you today that most of us, senior citizens, have our parents, our children or our brothers in these factories. So you sit here and you condemn what has been done when you didn't do anything at all on yourself, then I find it very difficult to believe. Yes, Speaker, going on. When the ranking member of Transport had opportunity to speak, he spoke about the Boankra project and the fact that it wasn't feasible to do because there was no rail line. Mr. Speaker, I find that to be very retrogressive in the sense that if you want to embark on any rigorous industrial park program regime, and this is going to be the first time in West Africa that we have the biggest industrial park, which is multimodal transport control, where you have rail, where you have road and so on coming together to ensure that we maximize the exercise of industrial productivity. The only thing that rail provides, which we can mine on the transport or road transport side, is that one, in carrying the cargo from one point to the other, they don't know who the owner of the goods are, and they don't know what is inside the container. Mr. Speaker, if the rail is not ready, we can use trucks. We can give these containers to trucks. They don't know what is in the container. They don't know who the owners of the containers are. And they will carry these containers from the port straight to the Boankra inland port. And this is the only time that investors will find need and use to invest in the program and bring the rail there. As far as they are concerned, the Boankra program is going to be one of the best projects that this government has provided in the Greater Kumasi area. And we are telling you that before 2024, before we leave this, the President Kafui Addo's time comes to an end, Boankra will be operational. Yes, Speaker. He spoke about the auto industry. And sometimes I feel very alarmed when my ranking member decides to play politics with beautiful projects, beautiful programs. For the first time in the history of this country, we assemble vehicles here in this country. For the first time, people are buying brand new cars without payment of duty. Because when vehicles are manufactured in your country, there's no import duty payment. For the first time, people have high purchase from banks, and they bought brand new cars, medium income earners. And they are able, medium income earners have bought brand new cars, and they are not going back to the second-hand car market to go and buy. And you say what? As we speak, Toyota is here, Nissan is here, the speaker, VW is here, Sino Trucks is here. And what's more, our own Kantanka is even manufactured today. The speaker, when I drive on the streets and I see Kantanka cars on our roads, I become so happy and I pray for President Kafui Addo. Why? Because he has managed to ensure down policies are helping our own local industrialists. And I want to charge Mr. Speaker that if you don't mind, as from next Parliament, every parliamentarian must be asked to at least acquire one Kantanka pickup, so that we will use that method to help our industries. If we don't do this, that means that the made in Ghana goods that we are all preaching that everybody should patronize in, we ourselves are not interested in patronizing made in Ghana goods. As of this year, 2023, we can assure you that Hyundai is coming, Shenzhen from China is coming, Isuzu is also coming. Let's speaker, we are doing all this to ensure that job is created in this country, and people who hitherto will be walking the streets will have something to do. What's more, I think that is not enough. The government of President Kafui Addo has ensured that SMEs, small medium scale enterprises, are not left out. The speaker, as of today, more than 500 million Ghana cedis has been disbursed to over 300,000 SMEs for them to, as it were, cushion themselves against the losses that they incurred during the COVID period. Who does that? The Speaker, those who are sitting on the opposite side of this of the divide, they will tell you, during the COVID period, they enjoy free electricity. They enjoy free water for 1 year. All of them. Some of them even come and tell us that they are happy that we got free SHS, because otherwise, when school reopens, people will rush them and they have to go and look for money or borrow money to go and pay school fees. Today, they are enjoying that free of charge. And they have the effrontery to come and challenge a better government like this one. What is the alternative? I don't see NDC as an alternative. If you ask me, because what are you bringing on board? Nothing. The solution is here. There is ERP in this document. And I can tell you that once we are done writing everything in this document, you will be cut off from the political divide. But yes, let me just say that SMEs were not left out. The government of President Kafui has built 37 business resource centers across the country. The Speaker, these business resource centers are supposed to give business advice and, of course, resource SMEs in our various areas. In my interest, you know, Mr. Speaker, that a lot of the BRCs are in their constituencies. And like I mentioned, Mr. Speaker, if you know where these constituencies are, there's one in Sandema, there's one in Bolgatanga, there's one in Jirapa, there's one in Tumu, another one in Sogakope, Pede has one, KJB, Adafwa, Atimpoku, Ewutu Breku. I can go on and on. Where does all these towns or what these cities fall? These are NDC operated.
You have 1 more minute, Mr. Speaker, to take the seat. And you continue.
I have 5. Okay. So the most important thing is we don't leave anybody out. The President Kafui is making sure that he doesn't leave anybody behind. We are carrying all of you along. We have managed that anything that we build in your constituencies for you to benefit. All of you sitting here, I am very sure that some of you even might own 1D1F companies in this. But yes, we are ready to assure Ghanaians that as far as we are concerned, we will bring this economy back to life. We know how to live, but we don't know how to bring people back to life. And that is what the President has always said. So if you talk about 1D1F, please make sure if you talk about BRCs, make sure you talk properly. If you talk about auto industry, where we have managed to even provide an auto policy, which is going to cover all these companies and ensure that local manufacturing of auto accessories is done here locally. The auto companies or industries are supposed to assess accessories locally. The windscreens, the wipers, the brake pads will be manufactured here in our magazine, will be manufactured here in Akokope. That is what we are talking about. And that is industrialization. What is the NDC's alternative? You do not have any alternative. You cannot provide any. You only are good in, as it were, just complaining or challenging or, giving opposition. Give us concrete directions as to how you think you can change things. We can't find them. And yet you sit here, and when we do the right things, you try to point fingers at us, and you try to hoot at us. But I can assure you that President Kafui will do this, and he will do it properly. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank you very much.
Honorable Member, I was informed that your time was up, but you are in full flight. You were so much in full flight. I just decided to add you a few minutes. Now, we move on to, is it Honorable Yusuf Suleiman? You ready to go on? Yes.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm grateful for this opportunity to contribute to the motion numbered 9 on today's order paper. Mr. Speaker, listening to my chairman, the Trade Committee,
I can say on authority that he seems to have a very poor retentive memory. I'm saying this for a reason. In the last year's debate on this same issue of 1D1F, I provided you with a list of 108 factories, and I asked you to challenge me. Nobody from your side, including the Minister of Trade, was able to challenge me. Today, you are saying that the NDC has nothing to show when it comes to 1D1F. Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't waste my time to mention all of them, but I'm going to mention some, and again, I am going to submit a list to them and to challenge them once again to come out. Yes. Mr. Speaker, you have a company called Volta Forest Products Limited. INPO was supported under the NDC administration. You have a company called Freezer Industry Limited. It was supported under the NDC administration. You have a company called Caltech. It was supported under the NDC administration. Mr. Speaker, you have a company called Apia Farms Limited. It was supported under the NDC administration. Mr. Speaker, it was the NDC that came out. It was the NDC that came out with a stimulus package to support pharmaceutical industries in this country. Indeed, in 2015, when His Excellency, the former president, was here to deliver the State of Nation address, he brought some of the companies here as evidence.
What is the issue?
Of what the NDC has done.
Please, hold on.
So for...
Yes, hold on.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for giving the opportunity, but this is a House of Records. The member, I don't know where he's reading from, whether it is a true record of whatever, I don't know where he's reading from, and we don't know what program, which program all these factories were assisted. I think that he is providing us information which is not supported under any laws of this House. And as a House of Records, I want that response from Hansa. Thank you.
So, under what rule have you come? Under what rule?
I need to refer on that one. But as far as I'm concerned, I know that this is a House of Records, and with everything that we provide here has come for proper records.
Please. I gave you the opportunity. I said I couldn't stop you because you were in full flight. When you were in full flight, were you mentioning the names of the companies? No. When I sat, I listened to you. I listened to you whilst I was in the lobby. And you were in full flight, and you said so many things. Now he is trying to rebut and also tell you this, and you are objecting. Please, let's be prepared to listen to each other. Parliament is not a court of law.
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful. Mr. Speaker, I know my chairman is good at certain things and not debates. When it comes to chewing off other things,
honorable member, withdraw.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw and I apologize to him. I need it for record. Mr. Speaker, I want you to be on record that 2 days ago when I was returning from Bole, I made a stop at the Savannah Regional Capital, Damango, where we have a BRC. Unfortunately, there, it was locked down. Nobody in that office. And I challenge you to call the regional minister now. Send people to that office. It's locked up. And we are here talking about BRCs, your records very well. Yes, Speaker, I intend to deal with 1D1F once and for all. In the last year's debate, I provided you with a list, and I tried to appraise the performance of the MPP and the 1D1F, and you scored F. I thought somebody from your side would have challenged me. And here today, nobody has come out to challenge me. Mr. Speaker, I will look at the 1D1F as captured under paragraph 596 to 600, and I also look at
The African Continental Free Trade Area also captured under paragraph 336 to 339. Mr. Speaker, I'm starting with 1D1F. And I have come out with a very simple model to appraise you. Mr. Speaker, for you to industrialize, you have objectives, you have goals. I have taken just 3 objectives of any economy that wants to industrialize, and I want to assess you on that. And let's see whether or not you will score even 50%. I doubt it. Mr. Speaker, under paragraph 596, we are told there were 296 companies are at various stages of implementation, and that out of that, 126 are operational, and that these 126 created 160,023 jobs. Mr. Speaker, with all humility, this is not true, and I prove it in the jiffy. It is not true because even though you are combining stimulus package and 1D1F, and I agree with you, when you started, you allowed them to stand separately. You have now combined them, and I agree, because it's only a fool who doesn't change his mind. And I'm going to ensure that we take the two together, and I praise you. And I'm saying that the jobs that you say you have created, 160,823 jobs, cannot be a fact, and I'll prove that. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Trade and Industry was here on the 10th of February 2022 to answer a question that I had posted to him. And when I tried to find out the number of jobs created under one specific company called Everpure Holdings Limited, Mr. Speaker, I'm making reference to the Hansard official report, 10 February 2022, column 94, paragraph 4. And with your permission, I want to read the answer that the minister gave to us. Mr. Speaker, in my earlier response, I tried to understand whether the honourable member wanted to know the direct attribution of the support in terms of number of jobs that have been created, and I said that would be a difficult exercise. When I asked the minister to give me attribution, that if you have supported an existing company, you don't go take the total number of employees and say that these are the number of people that you have engaged. No. We want tension effects. If Everpure Limited has 1,000 workers before you get them a stimulus package, and some jobs have been created, you can only attribute that creation of jobs after the intervention to the 1D1F. That is not what you are doing. That's right. You go to the company and you support them with a transmitter, and then you go take the total number of staff strength and come to tell us that these are the number of jobs you have created. That is fake. Mr. Speaker, in any case, if we were to look at unemployment in this country, today as we speak, unemployment, let me even give you statistics where I can have evidence. In 2016, unemployment rate was about 5.6%. In 2021, it rose to 13.9%, where we claim to have 126 factories operational, and that jobs created amounts to over 160,000. Yet, unemployment rate is skyrocketing. Right? This cannot be a fact, and I'm putting it to you. Mr. Speaker, I have dealt with the issue of job creation. The second issue I want to look at has to do with import substitution. When you industrialize, one of the most important things you want to do is to reduce the importation of goods that you can produce within your country. As I speak to you, Mr. Speaker, there is no single product that you can mention to us that as a result of the intervention of 1D1F, we have reduced the volumes of importation of these products. So what are the factories doing? Mention to me one product that you can say that as a result of 1D1F, instead of importing these volumes, it has reduced. When you do that, I clap for you. So when it comes to even the issue of import substitution, you have failed. Just as you have failed when it comes to job creation. That's right. Mr. Speaker, another very important criteria you want to use to measure whether or not 1D1F is making impact is exports. It's exports. What are the export volumes? And the 1D1F, what have you exported in order that you are going to get more foreign exchange? If you have done that and done it well, today we won't be suffering from this depreciation that we are looking at. And so this your issue of 1D1F, if you ask me, is a waste of resources. That's right. Mr. Speaker, we sit here to approve exemptions. We even approve exemptions for the importation of raw materials. What a sad situation. When in natural fact, we can encourage our local people to produce same raw materials. But we sit here to give exemptions to companies to import it. How can you create jobs under such circumstances? Mr. Speaker, let me tell them and to offer them some free advice. That my thesis at the Enfield, I try to look at the nexus, the relationship between industrialization, job creation, and economic growth. And the findings indicates that when you do industrialization and do it well, there's a strong relationship between industrialization and job creation, and for that matter, GDP. We are not doing it well, and I want to advise them. When you want to industrialize in an economy like ours, you use what we call the traditional model. What is the traditional model? The traditional model is for you to first of all tackle the raw material base. When you tackle it and you are able to produce enough in a very sustainable manner, you now move from that primary level to industry. So that when you are producing and adding value, because you have been able to produce more raw material, you are able to produce to capacity. And that is where you now engage many hands. Mr. Speaker, talking about indirect jobs, when you strengthen the raw material-based production, you are going to employ so many hands at that level. And that is where you create the indirect jobs. When you come to the factory itself, because you have enough raw material, you are able to produce the capacity, you are able to benefit from what we call economies of scale. And so you can employ more people. When you do that, you create more jobs. Before you move to the service industry, whatever you produce at the production, at the factory level, you now move it to the market, and other people will be selling those things, and then you get other jobs created. We have failed in doing this small model, and that is why we are only wasting money and not creating jobs and not making any impact when it comes to import substitution and when it comes to exports.
Honorable member, your time is up.
Speaker, let me conclude. Let me conclude by talking about the African Continental Free Trade. Mr. Speaker, the Continental Free Trade that we're talking about is captured in paragraph 336, a very laudable project. But this government once again has failed us. All I want to say in summary is that we are carrying the drum and other people are beating and dancing it and enjoying the drums. We are hosting the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, courtesy John Dramani Mahama. He built that edifice that we are seeing today, where African trade, the Continental Free Trade Area is occupying. That is the work of John Dramani Mahama. Unfortunately, we are there and we are unable to make any good out of it. Mr. Speaker, because there's no time, I want to end it here and call on my colleagues to listen to advice. That is a very laudable project, and it takes two to be able to move things well. Knowledge doesn't stay in one person's head. And so when we are talking, you need to listen to us. And so my chairman for this committee, I'll meet you in chambers and I'll give you the stuff so that you are able to do what you need to do. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity.
Yeah.
Honorable members, we will now listen to, I think, the turn of Honorable Atachia.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the space to contribute to the debate on the floor. This Honorable House approves the budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending 31st December 2013. Honorable Speaker, I want to make an initial observation that truth has a liberating effect. And in order not to also come out as somebody who does not respect the scriptures, given the fact that the Minister for Finance quoted the scripture, let me also quote. Yes, we have started. I'm quoting from a very interesting piece of scripture, the Gospel of John chapter 8 and the verse number 32. That's what the Bible says. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. The inference is strong. That any time you ignore the truth, you are in prison already. That is why I urge on this House that we shouldn't indulge in propaganda when it comes to the economy. Because we need truth as a basis of coming to terms with the economy so we can change the situation we face. There's no denial of the fact that this economy has been bedeviled with two major external forces. There's no dispute about it at all. The COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian-Ukraine war. There is no dispute about it. And this is a sacred fact. We shouldn't run away from this fact. Honorable Speaker, it is also true that by reason of the COVID-19 and the Russian-Ukrainian war, the economy of the entire world have suffered. This is a sacred fact. It has no political colors. It's a fact. And Honorable Speaker, let me quote for the benefit of the House the statement of the Minister in relating to this important matter. This is at paragraph 6. Mr. Speaker, the year 2022 go down as one of the most difficult and eventful years in the economic history of our country, while we continue to deal with the devastating impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, which led to significant reduction in our revenues and increased our expenditures enormously. We also had to contend with the Russian-Ukraine war. Honorable Speaker, if people will not believe this statement of fact, I want to read to you what the Chancellor of the British Exchequer, William Hunt, said in relation to this very important matter. And he made a very important statement, Jeremy Hunt, I'm correcting. He made a very important statement to the House of Commons on the 17th day of November 2022. And with your kind permission, I'd like to quote. In the face of unprecedented global headwinds, families, pensioners, businesses, teachers, nurses, and many others are worried about the future. He continued by saying, the Office for Budget Responsibility confirms global factors are the primary cause of current inflation. The undercurrents are sure. Most countries are still dealing with the fallout from a once-in-a-century pandemic. And he also made this observation, very, very important for understanding. The International Monetary Fund expects 1/3 of the world's economy to be in recession this year or next. So the evidence is clear that when we are dealing with external phenomena, which has consequences for every country, we shouldn't wish these factors away for somebody to tell this house that the economy has comatose. I know that is a prayer of a very important member of this house, but that prayer will not be answered. This economy will never comatose. I want to submit. Another, yes, that is a ranking member for Mines and Energy, my good friend, John Jinapo. And then your ranking for Finance also said the economy is very gloomy. And I know God will not answer this prayer. Whatever the circumstances are, we'll come out of this situation. But the truth still remains that the challenges we are facing are exogenous and they are not the making of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. For example, I know as a matter of fact that President Akufo-Addo never imported inflation into the economy. The inflation that we are experiencing have underlying factors, and they are external in nature. Honorable Speaker, let me read paragraph 13 of the budget, just to demonstrate that facts are sacred. We cannot romance the facts in the name of politics. I beg to read. Inflation, which we managed to bring down from 15.4% at the end of 2016 to 7.9% at the end of 2019, and remained in single digits till the pandemic hit in March 2020, is now 40.4%. Minority Leader, please, can I have your attention? Yes. So, Mr. Speaker, with the greatest of respect, it is not President Akufo-Addo who imported inflation into this country. It's so clear. So when President Mahama left us with an inflationary figure of 15.4, 2016, there was no COVID, my brother, and there was no Russia-Ukrainian war. He was in good times, but he was struggling with the economy. To 7.9. Now we are at 40.9. We need to come to terms with these facts, that the facts are sacred. We shouldn't do propaganda with them. It will not advance the cause of this country, and we should love it. Honorable Speaker, I want to touch on a matter which is very good for us. That is energy security. Honorable Speaker, you cannot transform any economy in material terms unless your energy situation is good. But what did we see as a country? Honorable Speaker, we had a situation of the independent power producers taking so much from the economy. And let me quote for the consumption of the House, the amount of money President Akufo-Addo has spent in relation to power supply by these IPPs. Between 2017 to 2020, the government has paid 17.31 billion Ghana cedis to IPPs and fuel suppliers as shortfall in capacity, power payments, and excess capacity. And these IPPs, I mean, they are not drops. We will have to let the whole world know. AXA, Car Power, Sem Power, Ameri, Sonun Asogli, and Amandi Energy. 17.31 billion Ghana cedis. Yes. Point of order.
Yes, point of order. Speaker, the chairman of the Committee on Energy knows that I respect him a lot. He just asked for my attention, and I'm following him very well. Except that, Mr. Speaker, when he mentioned the 17.1 billion, he then went further to be naming the entities. It's important you give us how much went to each of them for the record. Thank you. Sonia Sogli, how much? You said 17.1, so I'm listening keenly. I need a breakdown of what makes the 17.1 billion. Thank you. Or do so. Thank you.
It's on record. And in good time, you can have all the breakdown. But what is very significant is that this paper was delivered to the House, which is the responses to requests for information on vote of censure. I want to table it so that my good brother will look at it and know that we are not joking. Honorable Speaker, the Akufo-Addo economy has shock absorbers. The economy is not wobbly. We could not have contained the situation we had, but for the fact that the fundamentals of the economy were strong. If you paid this huge sums of money to IPPs, the lights have never been off. If you pay regard to some analysis in the budget as to how to keep the lights on, we educated that we need $1 billion United States dollars annually to keep the lights on. Honorable Speaker, this is to tell you that in some few years ago, those who didn't experience COVID and the Russian-Ukrainian war sent us to Dumso. They had left troubles, but they couldn't manage the economy, and were in Dumso. Now, with these troubles notwithstanding, Honorable Speaker, the lights are on. The economy of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo are shock absorbers. These are not matters that anybody is trying to invent. These matters are secret facts, and this House will respect facts. Now, Mr. Speaker, let me turn to paragraph 356 of the budget to demonstrate one reason why we can assert in strong terms that we are better managers of the economy. With your kind permission, I'd like to quote. Mr. Speaker, as part of efforts to ensure power is affordable for industrial, commercial, and residential area, government substantially completed a renegotiation and restructuring exercise of power purchase agreements with 6 operational independent power producers, namely Car Power, Sand Power, Eli Power, Twin City Energy, formerly Amandi, AXA Energy, and Senate Energy. And what is very, very important, that it is good management for us to look at the bargains of the previous independent power producers to save this nation a lot of money. And this is rightly captured at paragraph 356 of the budget. This may be found at page 84. Mr. Speaker, the new agreements with the 6 IPPs, when finalized and executed, offer estimated nominal savings of more than $4 billion with a net present value of approximately $3.5 billion over the next 5 years. These savings are expected to accrue from a combination of reduced capacity and energy charges across the IPPs. A total savings of $12 billion is expected when all agreements are finalized and duly executed. This is a better management of the economy.
That is paragraph 3.